We're just dealing with a main character who has like feral cat energy.
All right, this girl has shitty jokes and a bad temper. This is all like not stuff I can read out loud without crying. Hello everyone, I'm coming to you hanging from the last thread of my sanity. Literally 20 minutes ago, I finished the Mortal Instruments plot summary video. We're done. So I need to edit that, but I need to step away from a screen. We gotta limit our screen time. We gotta protect our eyes so we can have a long life of reading books. Well, here it is. I happen to have a physical copy because my fairy book mother, Susan, gave me this a year ago, 2 years ago at least. And I've been holding on to it because I am very frightened of starting books that are part of an unfinished series. And now I think it's done. I think it's a duology. We're going to check that in a second, but I'm going to read the Jasad Heir because I see people freaking out about the Jasad Crown, the sequel. I'd like to be part of it. So let me read to you the back, and I apologize if I butcher any pronunciations. It's me we're talking about. An unmissable tale of shattered kingdoms, forbidden magic, and cunning royals unfolds in this Egyptian-inspired epic fantasy debut. 10 years ago, the kingdom of Jasad burned. Its magic was outlawed, its royal family murdered. At least, that's what Sylvia wants people to believe. The heir of Jasad escaped the massacre, and she intends to stay hidden, especially from the armies of Nizal that continue to hunt her people. But a moment of anger changes everything. When Arin, the Nizal heir, tracks a group of Jasadi rebels to her village, Sylvia accidentally reveals her magic and captures his attention. Now, Sylvia's forced to make a deal with her greatest enemy, help him hunt the rebels in exchange for her life. A deadly game begins. Sylvia can't let Arin discover her identity, even as hatred shifts into something more between the heirs. And as the tides change around her, Sylvia will have to choose between the life she wants and the one she abandoned. The Scorched Kingdom is rising, and it needs a queen. Okay, I'm nervous. I'm going to check if this is a duology. I really, really hope it is. We get, oh, gorgeous. Hold on. Look at her. Love a good map. Love a good map. Let me read you maybe the first paragraph, shall we? As usual. Oh, I love this line. Okay, this is a great first line. 2 things stood between me and a good night's sleep, and I was allowed to kill only one of them. So yeah, we get a couple pages of her hunting frogs. Google says it's a duology. I want to see the word finale. Let's look. Okay. It says the Jasad Crown that just came out is the thrilling conclusion. So if I get to the end of that book and it is not a conclusion, we're going to have problems. But I'm going to put a load of laundry in, pack up my bag. We're going to go to a cafe, absorb some sun, look far away in the distance, look at something that is not a screen. I will check back in with you. I'm so excited for this. Yes. Thank you for joining me. I don't know what this is going to be. See you soon.
September 1st. It is a couple degrees too warm for this to be comfortable to sit outside, but the fact that I'm not immediately sweating and wanting to die, I'm gonna take advantage. So far so good. I'm taking notes. I will update you on the plot, but it took me a little bit for my brain to kind of click, but yeah, I'm liking it. We've got, you know how I feel about side characters that are just like quirky and great. We've got immediately quirky and great side characters. So they're in some deep shit right now, so I gotta go check on my characters, speaking of. But so far so good.
Okay, we are back home. The kids in the park had water guns and no mercy. So I took that as my cue to leave. I'm also sweaty, so it was time. All right, the Jasad Heir. I'm on page, I've already bookmarked so many things. Okay, I'm on chapter 5, page what, 65, 66? 66. It's hitting, it's flowing now. It's flowing. I think that my brain just hasn't been working. There were just like, I guess just like sentence structure or maybe like paragraph flow. I wasn't quite sure how like time was passing. Like for example, the very first page, she is harvesting frogs and she's talking about how she needs 10 frogs or something like that. And then the very next sentence, she's like walking back home, but it didn't feel like, it wasn't clear that she had completed her task. She was like, all right, now we got to catch 10 frogs. Let's go home, kind of thing. It wasn't clear that like a chunk of time had passed. Does that make sense? It wasn't a big deal. It wasn't to me like a signal that the writing was bad. It was a signal that my brain was just not clicking. My brain has clicked. Okay, my brain clicked around, I want to say page 30. So currently our girl Sylvia, she is living in Maher, a small town called Maher, and she is the apprentice to a chemist. That's why she has to hunt frogs all the time. But she's also an orphan. She's living in the orphanage. She has two friends, Marek and Seifa, I believe their names are. That's what I'm talking about when I say I love good side characters that are like comedic relief. They're a little too quirky to be a main character. I really like their whole dynamic. And because of them, we got to see kind of the real Sylvia, or her real name is Essia, I believe. So I'm very grateful that they came in and we were able to see her real personality. But the reason she's in deep shit is because she went out into the woods, which are not allowed, heavily, heavily guarded. But she often goes out there to get frogs, for example, like different ingredients for the chemist. So it's not like crazy that she's out there, but she did go out there, it seems like for a personal reason. I believe she was trying to top up her stash of food. She has like a go bag essentially hidden in a ravine. So it was kind of unclear as to why she was out in the woods that night in particular, at least to me, but she runs into a soldier and he's like, I think you're Jasad, aka a person with magic. I'm gonna take you in, like you're gonna get a fair trial. And she's like, name one person who has walked out of that trial alive. Other than the man they arrested who was a different race. He was Omali and he was selling body parts of Jasadi people as like medicine. And he got a trial. He got to go to the courthouse and walk away free. Has a Jasadi, a living Jasadi? No. Okay, so that's what we're dealing with. She kills the man. She's just like, I'm not ready to leave my hair. I'm not ready to leave my friends. I don't know if I can outrun this dude. Let me go kill him. She cannot hide the body herself. So she just, in her panic, asks her besties, Marek and Seifa, who, by the way, she is not besties with. Like, she keeps them very much at an arm's length. They are the ones that kind of keep the relationship going. So she just runs in and is like, guys, help. And without question, they help her. And that's when she kind of gets a suspicion. We haven't had it confirmed yet, but she's sort of like, only absolutely desperate people like Jasadi would help me. So she's thinking her friends are hiding a secret, that they are likely Jasadi, right? So she's been living in fear for the past couple days, waiting for the soldiers to report that one of their soldiers went missing, but so far nothing has happened. And they're having this big festival in their town, or like in the kingdom in general. And as they're getting ready for this, there's like a lot of visitors, a lot of new faces, things like that. It's quite jolly. Someone just screams Jasadi, and the local baker, this like cute 70-year-old man, gets thrown out into the streets. And one of the tourists noticed that he, used magic to like unburn a piece of bread and called the police. And I think reading this is really timely just because of, you can't help comparing this specifically to like what's happening in the US with ICE right now, especially because after that, the locals are kind of like, leave him alone. He's lived here his whole life. Like, he's lived here for more than 40 years. He moved here before the war, like before you guys had any issues. Like, maybe he's not even Jasadi. I've never seen him use magic. I don't know. And it becomes very clear to Sylvia that the elder people, like the people of his generation, likely knew and protected him, didn't say anything. And that is something that we're seeing, in the US, where it's like, it's sort of your local community versus the federal government. Unfortunately, the baker kind of panics and fights back and is killed as a result. So for some unknown reason, Sylvia literally is like looking at herself like, what did you do? She volunteers to help carry his body because one of the soldiers, when the baker fought back, one of the soldiers got injured. So the one other soldier couldn't carry the body by himself. So she's like, I'll help. And during that time, she had a moment alone with the body while the other soldier went to go get a horse. And she tried to perform a bit of the Jasadi funeral rites for him. She's like, I don't know if he'd want it because, maybe he has no connection to his culture. Maybe he's not lying. Like, he's lived here for 40 years away from Jasad, but she tries to perform it anyway, just as a form of respect. And it's in a different language, so I'm not going to try and read it, but in English, she forgets the very last line. She says, "To death we leave you, and we shall live our remaining life in remembrance. Be with you." What? I closed my eyes, reciting the sentence again in search of the missing pieces. And then a voice gives her the last words. A smooth, measured voice from above me. "I believe those are the words you seek?" I went still. I'd forgotten to listen for approaching footsteps. I opened my eyes to Boots, standing a few inches from Adel's head, the baker. My gaze crawled higher, over a lean, broad-shouldered body, shrouded in a Nizalon uniform, finer than any I'd seen before. The infamous black gloves encased his hands. A thin scar reached from the bottom of his throat to his jaw. If all this still did not sway my recognition, his eyes would have rung the final bell, pale blue and wintry. I'd seen their likeness only once before. Aaron of Nizal stood above me, watching me administer Jasadi death rites to a slain man. I am found. I just thought that was a great introduction to our enemy, and she is basically trying to swing it. She's like, listen, he didn't see me perform magic, so he can't say for sure if I'm Jasadi or not. So she's basically being like, I had a tutor that really loved teaching us other cultures. Hey, you saw, I didn't remember the last words. Clearly not Jasadi. My teachers hated me. I was so bad at school. I gotta go. And he's like, oh, no. We can help you back to your village. That's certainly fine. And so he escorts her. No matter how many times she tries to get away, he's like, oh, hop on my horse. It's fine. He may or may not have the ability to sense magic by touch, because he removes his glove to try and help her onto the horse. But she has these magical bracelets that only she can see, and apparently she can push her magic into them to kind of hide it. But she also can't access her magic. Her magic is tied to her bracelets, and her grandparents died before they could explain how the hell to use her magic. So all she can do is try to hide as much as she can. And he was kind of amused. He touched her, and when he was wrong, when he didn't sense any magic, he was kind of like, a challenge. But anyway, she gets brought back to her workplace. The chemist that she works for, his name's Rory, is really disturbed by the meeting, and her first thought is oh, are you hiding something? He really didn't seeing the heir of Nizal in his apothecary. So Sylvia is like, Rory, what are you trying to hide? Can I help you? And he's like, girl, I'm not the one with the secret, Essia. Sorry. And how did he know? Rory was like, girl, I knew you the moment I saw you, starved and bloody and shivering at this door. Nifron's daughter, heir of Jasad, Essia. And she's like, stop calling me that, man. Keep it down. Concern colored Rory's voice, for himself or for me. I have a history with Jasad, one that existed long before you, so be at peace. Only I could have known you by sight. Fate's hand drew you to my door that night. I will keep you updated, but so far so good. I am maybe 1/10 of the way through, so. So we didn't trick anybody. Actually, he definitely believes that she has magic, but he can't prove it, so he's just gonna follow her around. Great. Greetings. 25% update. Kurt's putting the dishes away, if you hear anything. Okay. I get it now. So not a whole lot has happened. This is basically where the action really starts, but we got a lot of, I love a festival. So we had a festival, and we knew from the back of the book, or at least I knew from the back of the book, I read it to you guys, right? I think we knew that her magic was going to be triggered by some horrific event that made her really angry. And I kind of thought, oh, they just meant she killed a guard, that. Maybe that was the inciting incident. No. Instead, at the festival, she now knows that she is being watched, so she's feeling kind of scared. One of the other heirs, the heir of Omal, his name's Felix. He seems like an idiot. Everybody hates him. He shows up, and he is about to accidentally run over like a chair or something with his carriage. And one of the really little orphans, she's like 12 years old, she's obsessed with our main girl, she is in charge of like keeping the chairs organized at the festival. So she runs in front of the carriage to be like, stop my chair. It makes Felix stumble. He's embarrassed and a little shit. So he immediately like throws her under the horses, and she just gets trampled and like all of the bones in her body break, which now I understand what would trigger our girl to go crazy. So she ends up like using magic to stab Felix. Deserved. The only person who saw it was Aaron, and instead of turning her in and killing her on sight, he's like, actually nobody can touch her. He doesn't tell anyone that he saw the magic, and he's just like, she is my champion, so nobody can harm her. Because in the background of this story, there's some kind of like, for the festival, there's a bunch of trials or something, and everybody gets to have one champion compete. Almost all the champions die, so nobody wants to be champion, and I guess our girl is going to be his champion, so she's screwed. But she's trying to figure out why she is alive and not dead on sight, as would be the norm for a Jasadi, when all of a sudden she's like, there's another one, isn't there? Maybe a group. Slowly the pieces slotted into place. You've used the guise of choosing a champion to hunt them down undetected. You're after them. I'm only convenient. I leaned into the commander's space, gripping the arms of his chair. I gazed down at him, stirring the hair at his temple with my words. I'm alive because you need me, don't you? I lingered close enough to count his silver lashes. And you're furious. Okay, checking in a little bit later. So Aaron brings her to this weird underground, like it's either a replica or I don't know, of the old Jasad palace, and she's being kept there mainly for her safety, because he's like the evil Jasadi, okay, are probably going to come after her. Like, he put a target on her back by naming her champion. But anyway, she gets put into captivity, allegedly for her safety, allegedly to let her train to be a champion. And she's like, absolutely not. She already has this weird backstory of, after the whole like assassination attempt that killed her whole family, she spent like 5 years in the woods with this woman who was like training her, but just basically just an abusive, crazy person. And she's like, I'm never going to be trapped like that again. So she makes her escape, and she doesn't get too far when Aaron catches up to her. He like stabs her. He's basically like, you're gonna lose a lot of blood and pass out before you can make your escape, so why don't you just come with me? But she's so reckless. She's like, at this point, fuck it all. Like, I don't even care. So she climbs to a place where if she faints, she will die. So she's like, what are you going to do about it? She's like up in this tree over a canyon, about to lose consciousness because this idiot decided to throw a dagger at her, thinking that that would somehow get her to surrender. Clearly doesn't know our girl. And so when she does eventually faint, he has to go catch her. And catch her he does. But now she's like not breathing. He knows that she has magic, but he doesn't understand that like she can't use it, so she can't heal herself, right? And so he decides to like try and help. And so in order to help her, he has to touch her. And he's saying like, if she were awake, she would be clawing his eyes out because she, quote, has the temperament of a deranged goose. Anyway, I don't know if I completely went over it, but basically he wants to use her as a lure to get the two there are two different Jasadi groups that are allegedly serial killers. They're just like killing hundreds of people over the past like 7 years. He's like using her to get close to them in some way. But he said if she wins, if she survives the challenge, the championship, she can walk away. She can be free. He doesn't understand what he has found. He has found the jackpot of Jasadi, and he's just like, listen, you are so annoying, but you're going to help me out.
I have the one and only 24 karat gold Labubu.
Oh wow, I hate these. These freak me out. Ew.
Any other updates? There's some weird backstory that like nobody, unless you were there, you didn't know what happened that day that everything went kaboom. So to us who know Sylvia / Essia, we know that the Nizal, is that what they're called? The king of Nizal was the one who did all of the murdering. But of course, the winner gets to tell the story. So everybody thinks that her grandparents, Essia's grandparents, the rulers of Jasad, everyone thinks that they are the ones who went crazy and tried to kill everybody. So there's like that interesting added layer of like people just have this incorrect story of who the Jasadi are, and interesting. But now we have to make sure that Sylvia's alive. So he just called her a deranged goose, and he says he is thoroughly convinced that he is not dealing with a stable woman. I like Aaron's POV. I would like more of this, actually. A page 200 update. I'm about to go to bed. Lots have happened. I took notes. So now we're starting to see a bit more of Essia's personality, and she's kind of a pill, but like I love her for it. She just likes to complain about things that she has a right to complain about. She's eating this like really gross gruel, like oatmeal, and apparently she pokes it and it springs back into place. And she's like, if this is what the Nizalans regularly eat, it's no wonder they were such angry people. They were hungry. And one of the guards is like, you should eat. And she's like, you should give me food. And so she is now fully into the training for the trials. I'll give more info about it in a bit, but they're going to be basically traveling around all of the kingdoms, doing a different trial in each place. As they're about to start training, Aaron is trying to find out, like, what is the deal with this girl? Remember, he just thinks that she's just this random Jasadi, but the more that he thinks about her magic, the more that he's like, holy shit, she's really, really strong. Like, this is really bizarre. He tries to like trick secrets out of her. So let me just read this one part where they're in the training area and Aaron is going through all of the weapons. Aaron chose a curved dagger from the chest, weighing it in his palm. With an almost unnatural swiftness, Aaron lifted his arm and threw. I had just enough time to glimpse the blurred form of the dagger cutting through the air, straight for my chest. I didn't think. In a burst of motion, I clapped my hands together, catching the hilt before the dagger could bury itself in my heart. And her reaction is like, you stabbed me yesterday? Was that not enough for you, bucko? Like, come on. His response is, fascinating, he said. That was a learned instinct. Who is teaching orphans to catch knives like that? She literally caught it. Like, she's not, this isn't little orphan Annie out here, okay? So he's like, who are you? I almost don't want to know at this point, is how he's thinking. Also, if you're wondering about their dynamic, they're having a conversation and she turns to face him. This is the closest we had been without someone actively bleeding. I would be happy to rectify that. Like, they just daydream about stabbing each other, and it's really great. In terms of action, there's not a whole lot happening right now. It's a lot of her just being unhappy, being held captive, basically, and him trying to catch her off guard and trying to find out who she is. He lets her outside, because remember, she's underground. He lets her outside every once in a while to like chill out, because she very clearly, like, if she doesn't get fresh air, she gets real squirrely. And so he like lets her go up for a walk every once in a while. At one point, her old friends, Sepha and Merrick, oh God, why have I forgotten their names? They like kidnapped her. They've been in the woods waiting to find her. They try to kidnap her. She's like, actually, no, guys, like, I'm gonna stay, because they are sort of part of the bargaining chip. Like, if she gets her freedom, he's not gonna go after these two. And why are they important? Like, why would Aaron care about these random other orphans, right? Remember how they had a secret? They're not Jasadi. Sepha is the stepdaughter of the High Counselor, and Merrick is just her boyfriend. We actually, when we find out why they left, apparently they are wanted because not only did they run away, but they like attempted to kill him, I think. We learn why, and it's, you know, trigger warning, sexual assault. And so now they have been taken captive as well. They're being treated like guests, not prisoners, but they are also going to be held alongside Essia for the remainder of the championship. But I really like this paragraph where they're just sort of talking about either of their prejudices, I guess. She says, "For someone convinced of his own brilliance, you do seem to neglect quite a glaring flaw. You think your mind is a blank slate, where you can build your own networks of information from scratch, through pure logic and reason. You ignore that each child enters a completely unique world, founded on different truths. We build our reality on the foundation our world sets for us. You entered a world where magic is corrosive and Jasadis are inherently evil. I entered one where turning a shoe into a dove made my mother laugh. Have you considered, in that infinite mind of yours, that the truly brilliant people are the ones who understand the realities we build were already built for us?" And I loved that. Also, during one of her walks with the two guards that we like, Wes and Jeru, we like both of them, specifically Jeru. Jeru goes off to like investigate a suspicious sound. And so our girl asks Wes, like, what is his story? Like, why is he so nice? And she's basically like, he's from a rich family, isn't he? Like, only rich people can be that nice. But Wes actually is like, no, he's from an impoverished family. He said that he qualified from exemption from conscription. Essia's like, whoa. You can be exempt? Like, all of the young, healthy men have to go into the army, right? What is this exemption? And Wes basically tells her, like, oh yeah, so all of the military stuff is under control of the commander, which is Aaron. Ever since he was in command 5 years ago, he made a lot of changes. So if you can prove that your family needs you, for example, Jeru needed to be there to support his family, all these different things you can apply for exemption. He did a few other things, and in terms of how is Jeru now a guard and not supporting his family back at home, apparently His Highness Aaron sets up funds for people who still want to work but need to be home, and he set up like an easy payment fund to immediately help the families. I don't know. Anyway, we're getting a sneaky suspicion that Aaron might be a good guy. Uh-oh. And I will leave you with our last two things. First, we did get a touch her and die, like who hurt you scene, where there's one guard named Vaughn who's just a piece of shit and likes to rile her up so that he can like tattle on her, basically. She was going for a walk at night, like just in the hallways, and she's allowed to do that, but Vaughn wanted her to go into her room. She didn't listen, so he's trying to egg her on so that she will hit him or something. So he ends up touching her, like he touches, and she doesn't like physical touch, so like he touches her arm, he touches her waist, he touches her stomach, and she knocks him out, which, as usual, she's got a right to. When she tells her side of the story to Aaron, he immediately is like, you touched her, you laid a hand on her. So we got that. We can check that box. Finally, I leave you here on page 200, almost 50% of the way through. Throughout the book, like since they have met, Aaron has been calling her a word that she doesn't recognize. And this is something that has been used in books many, many times. This isn't a new concept, but usually it's like a nice word, right? Like thinking of Legendborn, he says caridad. I think I'm pronouncing it wrong, but that means like, you know, my heart, my love, something, my beloved. So usually it's something like that, right? So he's been calling her this word, Suraira. So she asks Wes, one of the nice guards, he's like, by the way, what does that word mean? I keep hearing it. To which Wes says, Suraira is said to be a demon of mishap, protecting Sirauk. Basically, he calls her a demon, which is fantastic. So anyway, now we're just getting ready for the championship. We also need to figure out her friend's issue soon, because the third challenge is going to be in Nizra, and they do not want to go back there because they're like, the stepdad is gonna find us. Like, I just know it, and we want to be as far away from him as possible. So like, you need to set us free somehow. You need to barter for our freedom before that, because if we set foot in that country, we will die. They're like my favorite characters, so I hope they don't die. All right, I'll catch up with you in a bit. That is my 200-page update. So far, so good. Love the banter. Love that they still want to kill each other. And love that he doesn't know who she is yet. I love, he hates, there was another quote where he was like, she mystifies me. I hate being mystified. We love it. We love it. I'm enjoying this, okay? I wish the magic was explained a little bit more because, like, it's just vaguely magic. I don't really know anything else about it, mainly because she can't use it. So I hope we get more explanation of that part of the world, but see you tomorrow. My friends, I fear we're in trouble. I fear we're in trouble. I'm only on, when did I last leave you? I'm on page 296. Oh my God. I took so many photos. Nothing in terms of like real action has happened, but in terms of the relationship, this is where she decided to lock in for the romance. We're in so much trouble. I just have like endless photos on my phone of passages I need to read you. Right when I left you, I read a little bit at night. We're still training. We're still in this weird underground fortress. And remember how she was complaining about the food? The next day, she says something to Aaron about it. The next morning, I walk into the kitchen to find the scent of Maher surrounding me, the town that she lived in. Fruit displayed on colorful arrays, fresh cutlets of lamb, ground spices heaped in wooden bowls. This was your doing, wasn't it? Wes asked one of her guards. His Highness ordered a patrol to follow one of Rhea's wards around the market to bring back items typically found at an O'Malian table. He's never shown any extracurricular interest in food. And the guards are looking at her like, the guard that we like the most, Jeru, is like, also, if Jeru dies, Sarah. Jeru is like, maybe I should start complaining at the top of my lungs when I'm unhappy too. And Merrick is like, you're not as attractive. I don't think it would work. And now the challenges are starting. So the first one is going to be in Lekub. So before they head there, she gets a little bit of time to go back to her town and say goodbye to people. So she says goodbye to Rory and stuff like that. And when she is waiting to get picked up, it's not her usual guards, Wes and Jeru or Ren, that come and pick her up. It's Aaron. And she's like, what are you doing here? He says, caution is an area where I'm prone to excess. Aaron admitted, my faith in my guards has taken a beating. You? Paranoid? Steady me, sire. I may keel from my mount. What's got him so paranoid? About her safety. The corner of his mouth twitched. A small victory. I wondered if I might someday see the Nizal heir smile without acting as though he'd be fined for it. And then our girl is like, you honestly should have just sent the guards. Like, you are scaring the villagers. And he's like, I haven't done anything. She's like, bruh, you exist. And he says, despite your most accomplished efforts. They know that they want each other dead. And I think that's fabulous. But then it gets a little bit serious because she finally approaches him in terms of like, what do you have against the Jasad? Like, remember, in her mind, she just knows that her entire family was killed. But as more and more stories start coming out, it seems like her grandparents were maybe not the best people or, not as innocent as she might have thought. And she already has issues with her grandparents because her grandparents locked her mom in a tower, like basically said like, oh, this woman is hysterical. This woman is mentally ill. We're locking her away just because she had like, first of all, she was heartbroken when her husband died. Second of all, she like had some complaints, as we learn later in the book. Like, she didn't like how certain things being handled. She didn't like that her peasants were being starved. Because of that, the grandparents locked her in a tower. The story gets complicated, okay? So for example, Aaron is telling us, for hundreds of years, Jasad has bled its glory from the lives it ruined. Only need look as far as the last Malik and Malika, her grandparents, who killed their own daughter's lover, the father of her child, because an alliance with Omal meant an end to their blood-soaked prosperity. They threw the Jasad heir in a tower to silence her when she demanded they cease their mining operations. Jasadis worked in abysmal conditions. They died in droves. Why? Because the king and queen wished for more gold and silver to furnish their palace. They hoarded magical artifacts and pitted other courts against each other. No two more insidious royals have existed since them. And again, the people who are outside of Jasadi believe that the Malik and Malika organized the whole killing at the Blood Summit, the thing that left them dead as well. But our girl is like, why would my family kill themselves? Like, we were attacked. I was there. But there was magic used at that Blood Summit, and who has magic but the Jasadi? So there's like, nobody really knows what happened. And it seems like everybody here, like, all of the kingdoms have beef with the Jasadi? And is it because they're just all full of prejudice and have believed lies? Or is there a kernel of truth to their hatred? We will find out. Also, while they are riding home, they get attacked by this ruby hound, I think it's called. She manages to escape pretty much unscathed, but Aaron doesn't. He needs a little bit of help. So we get a scene where she helps heal him. She says, "Stop looking at me," I demanded. "I'm not going to make a mistake," as she's wrapping his wounds. A soft laugh escaped Aaron. The sound reverberated beneath the palm I'd placed on his chest. It was the first time I had heard him really laugh. How much blood had he lost? She's like, no, this man doesn't laugh. He is clearly dying. And something that keeps coming up is apparently when he was 16, Aaron was attacked by Jasadi and almost killed. Like, it's something that his guards have brought up before. Like, his guards were traumatized. So she's like, how bad was this attack that, like, guards who are the guards of like one of the most notoriously violent and scary heirs are still fixated on this thing that happened when he was 16. Like, what happened to him? And who did it? Who was the group behind it? The Mufsids, which is one of the names. There's two Jasadi groups trying to kill or recruit her, and one of them is the Mufsids. These are also the people that Aaron is hunting, right? Who she is supposed to be helping him hunt, but really they're like hunting her. So she's like, I'm just the bait at this point. Yeah, they're the ones. They've been around for a long time, and they're the ones who orchestrated this attack that also killed Merrick's brother. So see how everybody has beef with Jasadi? This is very, I don't know where this is gonna go. Afterwards, they make it to the kingdom, and we have learned that the Sultana there is a little bit off her rocker. And at this point, Aaron is far gone. Okay, like there's no hope for this boy. He tells her that this color suits her, like whatever color she's wearing she has to get dressed up for this thing. He's like, oh, that color really suits you. Also, our girl is fucked because she says, quote, "He was maddeningly elegant. I wanted to cut him open and compare our bones to understand why his gave him grace and mine gave me back pain." But anyway, she goes for one of her night walks to clear her head when she runs into the Sultana, whose name is Vida. And again, Vida's a little bit off her rocker, a little bit crazy, may or may not have killed her own mother. Like, she's a little, like, as punishment, any traitor that she finds, she puts them in a well and just leaves them there to die of starvation. That's like her chosen form of torture. So, right, little cuckoo. Anyway, she offers our girl a deal. She's like, I want you to lose. I want you to lose the championship. And she's like, any of your issues, like, I'll keep you safe. Don't worry about it. You can live in my kingdom and nobody's gonna touch you. Just make sure you lose. She doesn't really explain why she wants to win so badly, but she mentions something about like power balance and things like that. And our girl, Sylvia, is immediately kind of like, I'll think about it. Like, you're kind of crazy, so thanks for the offer. But Vida says something weird about her and Aaron, about Essia and Aaron's relationship. And Essia's like, setting the record straight, like, there's nothing there. Like, we're not even flirty, okay? I tell him daily how much I wish he was dead. But Vida kind of says like, oh yeah, don't worry, girl. I wouldn't suspect that. Like, he would never be so selfish as to love. Like, his love would just, he knows that if he fell in love, it would be the end of everything. And Essia's kind of like, girl, you are so dramatic. Like, he's just a guy. You're building him up to this thing. He's just a guy. Essia literally says, he would love the same as any man. Oh, my sweet Sylvia. Vida's smile was all teeth. The way most men love is so boring. It's frequent and fickle and altogether unextraordinary. No, Aaron would love to obsession, to madness. Aaron is consumed by what he loves. If asked, he would get on his knees and let it kill him. He withholds his heart out of self-preservation. And I must say, based on the buzzing that I've heard about the duology, I fear for Aaron. I fear for us, okay? After she has this weird conversation, she runs immediately to Aaron's room. It's the middle of the night, but she's like, no. He said I could come in anytime. I gotta talk to this guy. And she just tells him everything. She's really honest. She's like, listen, this was the deal that Vida gave me. She's gonna offer me protection, and I just have to lose, which, like, I'm gonna lose anyway, bud. Like, really. But she is like, actually, you know what? No. She's like, that sounds really fishy. You've been nothing but honest with me. I would rather take my chances with you than this crazy, crazy lady. At this, Aaron broke into a grin. My heart, which had done an excellent job of beating for my nearly 21 years of life, stuttered at the sight. The wonders of tonight would never cease. Okay, so they are like trusting each other. They still kind of want each other dead, but they're fighting it. They're fighting it. And I will check in a bit, but I can't stop reading. I'm a little bit over halfway through. So, oh no, guys. Oh no. Okay, an update. I'm on page 340. Things that have happened. We found out that someone from her past was in disguise and hiding at the Yukub Palace or whatever. This girl that we've heard before, Soraya, she was a friend, kind of like a handmaiden, I think, of our girl, Essia, like from the Jasad court. And so we assume that she died. Everyone assumed that everybody except for our girl is dead. Turns out, no. We had like a banquet. It was a little bit flirty with Aaron, but he was like, I don't know, too close to the, what's her name? The Yukub crazy lady, Vida. He was like a little bit cozy with her, and that pissed our girl off. So she was like, you know what? I'm gonna go to sleep. Also, she's supposed to kill the Yukub champion in the next trial, and he's like really nice. So she's like, fuck, I'm in a bad mood. I don't want to kill this really nice guy. So she goes back to go to sleep. Her lady in waiting that was assigned to her comes in to help her get out of her robe, and instead it is Soraya, who had like a glamour on or something, and she stabs her in the chest. And I thought like, okay, she's gonna die, because she spent a long time after she had been stabbed in the chest just like chatting back and forth with Soraya. Like, how could you do this? I'm so shocked. Like, you know, there's like pages of conversation, and she eventually manages to jump out a window, and her guards find her and she is okay, but she tries to get Aaron to run after Soraya, and he does, but then he realizes like if he continues to follow Soraya, there's a high chance that Essia will die, because something about like his magic amplifies hers, or like he doesn't have magic but he can like help her access her own magic. I don't know, guys. But there's like, it's like, when every time we touch, I get this pain. It's like that, okay? So he needs to be there to help her heal magically. So he gives up his search in order to make sure Essia lives. And it turns out that's a really big deal, because Soraya is the one that almost killed him. She did another weird, like, undercover operation where she, like, seduced him and then tried to murder him. And that was the thing when he was 16. That has, like, shocked and traumatized his guards. So the fact that he let her go when he had the chance to catch her is crazy. But the final thing that I want to say is that we get a lot of mentions of like Essia's memory is weird. Like, apparently she was a really evil kid. Like, she broke somebody's arm, or she like set this guy's precious quilt on fire, like all of this stuff, and she like doesn't remember. Like, her memory is warped in a weird way. That's why she doesn't remember all of the evil things that her grandparents did. Like, she says, you know, I was just a kid. How am I supposed to remember this stuff? And she's like, no, you don't remember it because you have this really handy way of not remembering anything, right? So anyway, that's weird. And so she's slowly like getting her memories back. And let me see, is that it? Oh, and then there was like this crazy attack. There was like another attack, and I'll explain it later if it really comes up, but mainly it was just another like attack, and she saves him. It's one of those things where like he saves her, she saves him, he saves her, she saves him. So we'll see how that continues, but I have about 75% left. See you then. Also, he has had Jasad assassination attempts since he was 2 years old. So coming at ya. Sorry if I look crazy. So everything that happened in the past 100 and something pages in which I didn't speak to you. The trials, honestly, like, I get why they're there, but I'm kind of tired of books with magical trials. They weren't that important, I'm gonna be honest. So she wins. She goes through all these trials. She wins. The last one was manipulated by Soraya, the woman that we let go free that tried to kill her already. And somehow in that weird, messed up trial that she tried to like poison our girl again, our girl managed to kill her. So she won, she killed the person trying to kill her. Good things happened. I'm skipping over a couple details, but essentially she did what she was supposed to do. So now she can like go free. We have the victor's ball or whatever. When her two best friends, Marek and Sefa, get accused of stealing something, basically. When they get caught stealing something, which they didn't do, when they got caught doing that, then Sefa's stepfather, who's at the victor's ball because he's some important dude, recognizes her, and then he wants to not only punish her for stealing, but punish her for like either attempting to kill him and running away or like whatever she did, punishable by death. So our girl, Essia, steps in to be like, take me instead, set my friends free, because she's a champion, so she's not supposed to be hurt. And when they kind of weren't accepting that deal, she's like, you know what, fuck it, I'm so sick of everything. Like, she just had to relive some really traumatic shit while she was fighting Soraya. She was in the midst of a dream. It's hard to explain, but she's just been going through a lot recently, and she's like, you know what, I'm tired of hiding. She shows herself to be the Jasad Heir, and because she like claimed her title, her magical cuffs come off, and so she has access to her magic, but she doesn't have any control. And she also, surprise surprise, super powerful, so she just kind of like explodes, for lack of a better word. She runs off. Eren is obviously shocked by this, especially because they had a steamy scene just before the ball. And yeah, I just really loved their banter, to be honest. Like, I still really enjoy it. So anyway, I'm gonna put this away. I'm going to start the second one tomorrow, but I hope if you were just here for this one because you're going to dive into the second book, I hope that this helped your memory a little bit. And onto the Jasad crown tomorrow. Okay, my friends, we have much to talk about. I already started the book. I thought like, here, why don't I just, take a gander, take a little look at it. And then I ended up, what page am I on? I think I already read 10%. Yeah, I'm on page 40. Okay, so I didn't go too crazy. Welcome to the Jasad crown. This is the finale. I checked. This is significantly longer. Jasad Heir, I had a physical copy. It was 480 pages. This one is a digital copy, and it is 600. I believe the acknowledgements start at 657. Also, as I was flipping through the table of contents, we have 4, if not 5, I believe only 4 POVs versus the Jasad Heir. We had 99% Sylvia / Essia, and then we had like 2 or 3 chapters from Eren's POV. And this book starts with an Eren POV. It actually starts with one of my favorite lines. Wait, I think I took pictures here. This is easier. The book starts, Eren firmly believed an attempt on one's life was the highest form of flattery. So we get a little background into Eren. As we have kind of known, they have attempted to assassinate this boy so many times. Starting when he was 2 years old, he was like cursed, which is partially why he has the ability to sense magic. But the first proper one, the one that he counts, was when he was 10. And someone tried to stab him, and he just kind of let him. He, at the age of 10, was already trained enough to have the skills to like move out of the way of a knife when it's thrown at you. But apparently one of his fatal flaws is that he is very curious. And 10-year-old Eren was like, I've never been stabbed before. Wonder what that feels like. That then reveals to us that his father is incredibly abusive, and having war flashbacks because I just finished The Mortal Instruments. He was also, similar to our boy Jace, was raised to believe that like love is a weakness and love is something that like you can be manipulated. But that's the end of our flashback. What is Eren doing now? We have had a 5-day time jump from the end of Jasad Heir, which is when Sylvia revealed herself to everyone to be the Jasad Heir named Essia. She used her magic to blast her friends somewhere. She disappeared, and Eren lost his mind. Okay, in those 5 days, what has been happening? Mainly, he's just been searching for her, but he's got some other business to attend to. He calls the High Counselor in for a meeting. And who is the High Counselor? He is Sefa, remember our friend, Sefa's stepfather, who we know sexually abused her when she was younger than 14 years old. Aaron's gonna deal with that. He might feel betrayed, he might feel lied to, but he is not going to let a pedophile run around in his council. So he essentially lets the counselor get comfortable, and then he places 2 cups in front of him, and he's like, that one is poison. You can die now. No one has to know that you're a gross, evil pig. The other one, no poison. You can have a sip, relax, and know that this is the last time you can breathe easy, because I will hunt you down. I will make you jump at every shadow. I will make you cringe at every little creak in your house, knowing that I'm just biding my time to kill you in the most creative, painful way I can. The High Counselor chooses to drink the poison. And before the counselor has his last convulsion, he said, from now on, those in Nizal's court must prove every day that they deserve their place. Power hoarded where it doesn't belong is power borrowed, and I intend to collect on the debt. So, no skeevy little old men who don't know what they're doing in his government, he said. Also, in terms of finding our girl, where is Sylvia? I don't know what I should call her. Her POVs right now are named Sylvia, so I'm gonna why don't I stick to that? Okay, for now, I'm gonna call her Sylvia, or the Jasad Heir. She's missing. Jeru, one of the guards, the guard that we like the most, is tasked with finding her. Easier said than done. She literally just went poof. It's not like there's a trail that they can follow, right? Also kind of weird, but Aaron threatens Jeru that I kind of explained it in the previous book, but he had set up this system where people can be exempt from serving in the military, or if they do serve in the military, there is a system in place to help their families survive, basically fund themselves. And he's like, Jeru, listen, that program is coming up for renewal in 5 days. And if you don't succeed in your mission, I don't know if I have the time or power to renew that to go to bat and make sure our government renews that program. And if that happens, all of these young boys from your hometown that you're trying to save are going to be conscripted into the military, which is Jeru's worst fear. He would feel like he betrayed his own people. So that's kind of weird that Aaron is holding that over Jeru's head. I will say, not tasteful, but Aaron clearly isn't even thinking straight, because there's moments where he's trying to unlock a door and he gets so lost in his thoughts that he just freezes, and the guards have to be like, are you okay? Because he keeps calling her the Jasad Queen, not even the heir. He's like, this just doesn't work. How can she be queen? How could the Jasad Queen be a mouthy crook who sooner would wrestle a rabid bear than hold her temper for 10 minutes? The Jasad Malika couldn't be vicious and loud and unreasonably confident in her comedic skills.
Son of a...
Hello? Darling? Remember, chew like you have a secret.
The girl that I met is not Queen or Malika material, all right? This girl has shitty jokes and a bad temper. So this is not queenly behavior that I witnessed, at least. And then finally, in terms of Aaron's POV, remember that this was mentioned in the previous book, but there's something called magic madness, where you basically go mad. It only seems to happen to young people. There's been just a few cases. It says every 100 years, one notable case of magic madness emerges, and every time in every century, it was Jasadi whose magic would drive them to madness. So it used to be that everybody had magic, then it became only the Jasadi have magic, and only the Jasadi, even when everyone had magic, they were the only ones who went mad. People would do crazy things, they would just go on a killing spree, they would, whatever. So he, for some reason, is trying to research this. Aaron, he's been digging through his library trying to figure it out. The only thing that was in common was that they are Jasadis who were typically young when they were executed. They all carried a staggeringly high quantity of magic, and nobody seemed to notice the signs of their sanity slipping away until it was too late. And conspiracy. I'm assuming magic madness isn't true. I'm assuming that these young people were killed because they were too powerful and somebody wanted them dead. Mark my words. Mark my words, okay? And so there we have it. That's Aaron. He had the first 2 chapters. Now let's check in with Sylvia, and then I'm gonna read with you, okay? First of all, Sylvia doesn't know where she is. doesn't even know she has a physical body. She's like, she's floating in this weird space. She's hearing these weird voices. She doesn't know who she is. She doesn't know where she is. She can hear somebody talking and they say something that makes her fingers twitch. And she's literally like, oh, I have fingers. Like she's that far gone that she doesn't even recognize that she has a physical body. Okay. Anyway, she finally comes back to herself and she is under the control of the Urabi. Okay, so I don't think I properly introduced them in the second book, but I mentioned that there were two Jasadi factions, two like rebel groups Aaron was hunting down because they were behind a bunch of deaths. Okay. So what we've learned is that the Mufsid are very violent. If you choose not to join them, if they try to recruit you and you say no thank you, they just kill you because they would rather have dead Jasadi than Jasadi that doesn't want to fight for their freedom. Okay? They seem to be behind just like a lot of violence. I don't know. We haven't gotten the full story, so I'm just working with the information that I've got, okay? And then we have the Urabi, who are less violent. They seem to be a lot kind of smarter and organized, and both of these groups are trying to get their hands on Sylvia because she is a high-profile Jasadi. She got to be the champion or whatever. They've been after her for a long time, okay? And she wakes up in their hands, basically. We meet this one woman named Namsa, who seems to be kind of in charge. And Sylvia's like, oh, yeah, okay, so you drugged me and kidnapped me after the Victor's Ball. So apparently when she like exploded with magic, they grabbed her. And Namsa's like, well, we see it as drugged you and rescued you. But, you know, semantics. And they're basically like, hi, we need you to claim your fucking place. Like, if you're really the heir, act like it, girl. Like, we need you. And even though they want her to lead, they aren't giving her many answers. Like, until she agrees, they're pretty tight-lipped about their organization. And this is driving Sylvia insane. And I just really love Sylvia as a character. She's not patient. Aaron is correct. She does have a temper, etc. So they're walking to like a meeting room and Sylvia hits her head on the roof. And so Namza is like, ooh, yeah, sorry about that. Should have warned you. You're just taller than most people. And Sylvia's like, okay, are we underground? Not quite, is all she said. I pressed my tongue against the point of my sharpest tooth, resisting the urge to throttle the woman. Unlike my body, my patience was famously short. And then finally, all right, this is my last thing. It seems like, why are there two Jasadi groups? Okay, first of all, there's a shit ton of Urabi. When she walks into that meeting room, there are hundreds of Jasadi, which she has never seen before, okay? And also the Urabi, instead of like the Mufsid, who, again, kill you if you don't choose to join them, the Urabi take people, and if they take in the Urabi mission and they're excited to be a part of the organization, then they let them go to just kind of be spies, like in the real world. So there's apparently like undercover Jasadi everywhere. All right. The reason why there's kind of two factions is because the Urabi are kind of the working class people. They're the farmers, they're the mason, like things like that. So these were the people that suffered the most under Jasadi rule because, as we've learned, the former king and queen, Sylvia's grandparents, were just actively mining and taking the magic away from the peasants in order to, you know, just fill their palace with gold, basically. So the Urabi represent the people who were most oppressed in Jasad when it was still a functioning kingdom. And then the Mufsid are kind of the higher class, the people who benefited from the oppression of the Jasad, the Urabi, okay? Sylvia's kind of confused as to why they would still want to reinstate, like, the granddaughter of the person who oppressed them. So we'll cross that bridge in a second, but she's essentially like, okay, she doesn't really have a choice. She said there was nowhere left to run. It was either Jasad would rise in victory, or we would all burn with it. Thank you. Though I barely spoke above a murmur, it echoed across the vast room. Thank you for letting me come home. Frustrating news. I've learned now to check what the focus was on. I had a whole thing of me talking and it was just focused on my Kindle. Oh, hello, I'm here. I'm on page 96. We know what Aaron thinks about Sylvia, which is basically, I'm pissed. Can't stop thinking about her, but like, damn, I'm pissed off. And we finally get a scene in which Sylvia has a moment alone where she can just kind of finally cry, finally think about what is going on. She's like, man, I really wish I could talk to somebody about my feelings. And she says, how unbearably pathetic that the person whose advice I trusted most, whose counsel I wanted so badly in that moment, was the same one preparing to kill me. A tear slid from the corner of my unblinking eye, the first and final tear I planned to shed for Aaron of Nizal. She's sad, but she's prepared to be a baddie. No more tears. No more tears. She runs into this very annoying... there it is. Hold on. There is a mosquito that got into my house. If you see me freaking out at some point, it's just because I'm trying to kill this thing. She runs into this very annoying man who she has run into before during one of the like kidnapping attempts. He's like, you don't remember me, do you? And she's like, yeah, I do. Your name is Erfa. And he's like, no, Erfa means cinnamon. My name is Ephra. And so now his name is Cinnamon, and he hates her. He's like this young, hot guy, so So once again, she goes off for a walk. It's very difficult to imagine like what the terrain is. So they're not underground, but they're like hiding in a series of tunnels in a mountain. But when you come out of the mountain, there's like this magical ocean and a bunch of waterfalls and stuff. There's cliffs and water and danger, okay? So she decides she's gonna go for a walk. She wants to find these waterfalls that she's heard of. And she does. She's taken it all in, and she realizes that this could be her escape route. If she ever wants to escape, she realizes that the waterfall is feeding into that river that runs through like the whole world, essentially. So she's kind of thinking about like, I'm not sure I want to go, but here's my opportunity if need be. When she turns around and she has to stifle a scream, there was a woman on the ledge behind me leaning against the rocks. They're like under the waterfall. And Sylvia is like, oh, no. Like, I've been walking by myself for hours in the woods. I would have heard if someone was following me. Like, how did this bitch get behind me? Okay. The woman is looking up at her through thick lashes, her green eyes dancing mischievously. She's like, I think we should stay. For now, at least. They're our best chance of winning our crown. And Sylvia's like, our crown? And she's like backing up, trying to get away from this girl. She like looks around. She feels like this woman is crazy enough to kill her. So she's looking around for any help she can get. When she looks down at like over the waterfall into the big water below, standing on the banks is Cinnamon. And she's like, oh, thank God. I hate this man, but thank God. And she tries calling for him. She's like, Cinnamon, or like, Ephra, help me. He's just looking up at her like, what the fuck? When the woman says, we can punish him later, I tore my gaze away from Ephra. Who are you? I lost sight of the apparition as it leapt onto a different ledge. You know who we are. I startled, the voice, sea-deep and smooth as the finest glass, belonged to a man. As I gazed into bright gold and silver eyes, identical to my own. No, not identical. They were my eyes. And before I could retreat, the hand on my wrist yanked me forward, and I tumbled into the waterfall. So we don't know. We don't know what the hell that was. At first, it looked like, sometimes it looked like her, sometimes it spoke like a man, like demon energy going on, okay? She falls into the river, should have broken her neck. She cannot get to the surface, where she is saved by this creature that she thought was trying to kill her. But it's like, can you chill out? It's talking to her. It's like, can you calm down, girl? I am trying to save your ass. You are drowning. I am a sea creature. I can help you. He saves her, drops her off on the banks of the river, and is like, see you later. You owe me. She gets dropped off. Ephra is still standing there being like, going for a swim? Like, what the hell were you doing? She's like, hello, I was screaming for help. Could you not see that I was being attacked? And he was like, girl, you were up there by yourself, acting weird. Who am I to jump in? They get in a yelling match, and he eventually calls her, and I quote, and they call Aaron the Silver Serpent because he has silver hair. Okay. He calls her the Silver Serpent's traitorous whore. Someone gasped, and I realized Maya had emerged from the mountain. One of the cute Urabi girls that's trying to befriend her, okay? On her face was shock and horror, not because of what Ephra had said, but because he had dared to say it. So she knows that everyone's thinking this, but nobody said it to her face yet. And they get in a very long yelling match where finally Sylvia's basically like, fine, I'll leave. Like, you guys don't seem to want me. Like, why don't I just die, honestly? And suddenly Maya, as Sylvia's like pretending to walk away, Maya suddenly screams, "We need your magic to raise the fortress." And Cinnamon is like, that was a secret, Maya. Essentially, what the Urabi's plan is they want to go to Omal, which is another kingdom, and present Sylvia to the queen, because technically Sylvia is next in line for that throne because her dad was the heir, but then he died and then her grandma like disowned her. So remember Felix, the guy who's just stupid, the heir that nobody likes? He's her cousin. Technically, she's ahead of him in line for the throne, but she got disowned. So the Urabi are like, maybe the grandma notices how stupid Felix is. Why don't we present you as the good option for the next in the throne? And maybe, just maybe, even if they don't give you the throne, maybe they will offer their army so that we can fight. And, you know, they've got the numbers, which we don't have. So we're going to try and fight for our freedom, our right to live. If that doesn't work, they are just going to try and use Sylvia's magic to reclaim that fortress that got destroyed. But then this is when we get the new POVs. So we have a POV from Seifa. So remember, Sylvia rocket shipped Marek and Seifa to God knows where, apparently in different places. So Seifa and Marek are by themselves. Seifa doesn't really know what to do. She's going to try and find Marek, but how? There's no trail to follow, let's just say. So she sneaks back into the palace. She didn't go very far, but she sneaks back into the Yukub Palace, which is where we ended the first book. So she's back at the scene of the crime, but that's where all the rich people are. And so she's just trying to play courtesan, basically, to try and at least get food. She's like, I will hang out with these ugly, icky men and entertain them if it means that I can eat, because I haven't eaten in 4 days. So when she is sneaking off, trying to eat as much candy as possible in a short amount of time, she overhears 2 assassins planning to kill the Sultana. And she doesn't necessarily want that to happen. So she runs in and rescues her, basically. So Vida, the Sultana, is like, all right, you've got game. I would like you to work for me. And in exchange for working for me, because I need someone that has balls, basically. And in exchange for working for me, I'm going to give you money to find the person you're looking for. She's like, I can tell. They bonded because Vida was like, anyway, who are you here entertaining? And Seifa's like, to be perfectly honest, Your Majesty, I don't know. I've been referring to him as Corpse Walker in my head because he's like such an old gross man. A burst of laughter drew Seifa's gaze up. Sultana Vida pressed slender fingers to her mouth, holding back a grin. Oh, yeah, his name's Halen. Corpse Walker is terribly appropriate. They're bonding. When she smiles, she looks like a clever young woman, power brimming from her very pores. Yeah, at first Vida is like, I'll help you look. I'm a Sultana. I can probably find somebody. But Seifa doesn't want that. So she's like, no. I'll look myself, but I would like money to help my search. So yeah, she's gonna stay and work for Vida, which is an interesting thing. I'm going to stop here. I'm gonna go for a walk. But yeah, so far, I don't think I mentioned it, but like the writing is, even just like the first chapter, you can tell that she has grown. The Jasad Heir was her debut. You can really tell this is 2 years. Jasad Heir was published in 2023. This was published in 2025. She's definitely grown. I mean, the writing in Jasad Heir was great, but this is even better, and that's very exciting. I am nervous about when a cast of characters grows and also the amount of POVs grow. So I'm nervous about that, but so far so good. I will catch you when I update you next, but I'm 100 pages in. Only, oh my gosh, I've still got 550 to go. Updates soon. Oh man, we're mobile. We've got a lot to talk about. How do I even begin? We've already gotten introductions of 2 characters that I know are just going to be here for the heartache. I hope that they find each other and they love each other instead of getting in the way of our love story. But I already introduced Cinnamon, who is like another potential enemies to lovers situation for our girl. He's still very much an enemy right now. But we also just got introduced to Layla, who is a person that Aaron has appointed to be on his council. Like, he's very slowly taking out his father's appointed council members and putting in his own people. Layla is one of them. He's known her since childhood. They grew up together going to like military school. He's basically like, if I ever had any romantic thoughts about her, they're gone. But as we will soon see, Layla is not over it. Layla is very much deeply in love with Aaron, so that's a problem. But she needs to talk to him about something. Like, basically they're trying to figure out what to do because the entire world is on the brink of war. Like, if one person makes one move the wrong way, everything's gonna erupt into war. So she's thinking like, maybe we should do it this way, whatever. As he's talking to her, they're in the gardens, he sees someone standing behind her and he's like, no fucking way. She's not that stupid. She wouldn't show up here, even with a glamour on. And he asks Layla to turn around. He's like, Layla, can you tell me what you see when you look behind you? And she's like, I see like a couple guards, I see a tree. So it's very clear that only he can see that Sylvia is somehow walking around the citadel where he is. What the hell? He is like speechless. He's actually frozen. And she doesn't notice him until Layla is like, Aaron, are you okay? And then she whips around. They make eye contact and she kind of disappears. He's really shaken by this. And he's especially shaken by the fact that, quote, his first instinct when he saw her wasn't to reach for his blade or summon his guards. It was to shout, run. Like, he wants his infuriating little Jasad Heir to be free. But then our next chapter is in a Sylvia POV, and she kind of wakes up because when we last left her, she had just found out about this whole scheme that the people who have kidnapped her have. Like, they basically just want her for her magic, right? She got really pissed about this and started fighting Ephra. And apparently she was set to kill him. So one of the other girls had to like subdue her. She has some kind of power. Everybody, the magic is not explained, but everybody has a different specialty. And so one girl, Maya, she apparently can like knock people out, which is handy. So Sylvia wakes up and she's like, where was I? Wasn't I trying to kill Ephra? Is he dead? I hope so. He's not. And then she was like, and like, what? Did you make me have that dream? And Maya and Namza are like, what dream? Like, we knocked you unconscious, but like, what dream? Part of me like loves, part of me hates when this is in books, but for some reason she can like teleport to him uncontrollably. So it wasn't a dream. She was like, her like weird dream-like self was at the Citadel for some unknown reason, and Aaron saw her, and that's weird. Then she goes to talk to Ephra. She's like, oh, he's not dead? Let me see what we can do about that. She finds him in the bathhouse where he's recovering, and she's basically like, next time you fucking screw up, watch your back, buddy. Watch your back, cinnamon. But she's like, what is your power anyway? Like, you didn't fight me. Like, when she was attacking him, he didn't fight back. And she's like, I know you weren't doing it out of loyalty for your queen. So like, why weren't you attacking me? And he's like, my magic is not something that I like using. And he gives her a little taste. Basically, he can amplify emotions. So he makes her feel rage. And she gets like all these visions of things that enrage her. She gets grief. He, of course, then shows her love and or lust, who knows, but she gets like a steamy vision of Aaron. Actually, no, I'm sorry. It was not steamy. It was really cute. It was like bringing her coffee in the morning and like laying out her clothes so that she has like something to wear the next day. It was cute. It was cute. It wasn't steamy. I take that back. And he's like, kind of, he can't see what she sees, but he can feel what she feels. So he's like, oh, sad little broken heart. Ephra flattened his palm and I gasped, freed from the choking misery of missing a man I didn't dare name. There's something in there I don't recognize. It sounded like Ephra was talking to himself. What is that? And so he then goes to amplify a different emotion that he feels in her. And it's not an emotion. So he goes to like call this emotion forward. The next wave had the opposite effect of the others. Instead of a barrage of intensified emotion, I relaxed. The furrows in my forehead smoothed and my arms loosened at my sides. And then Ephra like cuts off his magic. And she like kind of gets herself together and she's like, okay, like impressive. That's cool magic, whatever. That was fucking weird, but like cool magic. And Ephra's like, no. Like he literally says, what in the tombs was that? She's like, what was what? He says, what I amplified. I've never experienced anything like it. Ephra passed a shaking hand over his forehead. Whatever that was inside you, it's completely devoid of humanity. If I hadn't pulled my magic back, I think you would have killed me. So what is lurking in her subconscious? That's quite scary. And last but not least, I think in terms of where I'm leaving you, we get a Marek POV. I don't know why, I'm not super excited for a Marek POV. I feel like he's just gonna be used for like another romantic limb off of this tree. Marek materialized in a storage closet deep inside the Nizalan military training compound. So he's deep in enemy territory, but he's so deep in enemy territory that there's no way that you could get there without proper credentials. So nobody questions him. They're like, no way this random like hot blonde boy could have just snuck his way into this top secret military training camp. So there's that. And as he's hiding in there, of course a guard comes in and he just hears someone say, "What are you doing here?" So Jeru, as we mentioned, has been tasked with finding Marek and Sefa. So he found Marek, that's great. But obviously Marek's not going to come easy. So Jeru is like, listen, I've got another thing on my to-do list, which is finding this insignia. We don't just go with it. He's like, you're really good at finding things. I should be really good at finding things. I also have a lot of resources at my disposal. So if you help me find this magical object, I will help you find Sefa. That's what's going on. Oh no, I'm sorry. There is still one more really important thing that happens. So we found Marek. Okay, great. They're going to go off and look for Sefa. Cool. What's happening in Aaron and Sylvia's camp? Aaron has this cute little conversation. He goes to like his mother's memorial statue and he says something, actually, I really liked this line. He's like, I've been away for a really long time. Sorry I haven't come and paid my respects. And he pauses and he says, I'm still away, I think. I don't know. That was like a very quiet moment for Aaron. He catches his mom up on things. He's like, yeah, there's a girl. And he's like, actually weird, you've probably met her, because his mom has likely met Sylvia when she was Essia, when she was the heir at like the royal palace. So he's like, a selfish part of me like wishes to know like that his mom liked her, which is, ugh. But anyway, as he's walking back to the palace, he gets another Sylvia vision. He hears a bush rustle and he's like, what the fuck? And then Sylvia comes crawling out.
What was that? It wasn't a fox, was it? I don't know.
And she's like, listen, I don't have time. They kind of fight for a bit. She's like, you don't believe that I'm real? You think this is a dream? So she kicks him in the balls. She's like, listen, I don't have time for this. You need to evacuate Gallim's Bend. And what I didn't touch on when she was talking to her other people about the dream that she had, they mentioned that part of their plan was they were going to open the cages of these mythical beasts that Nizal uses for war. They're just going to open the cages. But around those cages where they keep the mythical creatures is, oh, there's a puppy somewhere. Sorry, I can hear a dog barking. Around those mythical cages are a bunch of villages, these innocent people that are going to be killed horribly by these mythical beasts. So she decides she doesn't want to be on that side of the war. So she goes to Aaron to tell him this. He doesn't really get it. He's like, okay, girl. When all of a sudden these sirens start going off, Sylvia disappears and he realizes like they are under attack. And he puts two and two together because Aaron's a smart boy and he's like, fuck, we need to evacuate Gallim's Bend. We need to listen to Sylvia, my worst enemy. Then we switch to Sylvia's POV, where they have now, her and the Urabi are standing watching their plan come to fruition, right? The cages are opening, people are being killed by these mythical beasts. When, of course, Aaron rolls up. I'm not going to explain this action scene very well. It was actually really well done, but basically one of the mythical creatures is similar to like a dragon or a griffin, something that you can ride, let's just say, like a big flying beast. It like comes down to try and attack Aaron, and then Aaron disappears. So she's like, did the dragon thing fucking just eat the love of my life? Like, that is gonna be a short book. We've still got 500 pages left. When no, she is like trying to get his, like leaning over the cliff, trying to see like what's going on. And only then did she see him. Silver hair whipping in the wind, features set with determination. Aaron looked like lightning molded into a man. So he like somehow gets on its back and rides it and gets it to a safe location and kills it. Badass. Sylvia literally had to cover her mouth to hide the wide laugh threatening to burst free. That cunning, brilliant man knew the best weapon against the Al-Anaka, the dragon. It wasn't a knife. It was his touch. Because remember, he can drain magic. So he just literally sits on top of this dragon and just drains it of its power. The Urabi notice that Sylvia is very happy about this. They don't like this. But yeah, Aaron saves the day, or he starts to, and then his guards show up, and I think that's where I am. And none of them really want war or destruction. And I'm on page 154. I'm 26% of the way through. So jeez Louise, buckle up, y'all. All right, I didn't even read that much. Maybe read 50 more pages. So much is happening. First of all, I will say the Sepha and Marek POVs, it's a little too early to judge, but I'm not interested. I'm not interested. The Urabi actually apologized for that really stupid stunt that they pulled. They were like, yeah, you know what? That was out of line to organize that attack without talking to you first. Because remember, Sylvia/Essia is supposed to be their leader. She's their queen. They're sort of like, yeah, maybe that was our bad to like not ask you first or whatever. But they were like, but you know, we have this thing. If you're gonna work with us, you deserve to know the full story. So they hand her this packet, and within this packet is a letter, and the letter gives us a clue as to what happened at the Blood Summit. And the Blood Summit, remember, is where everyone dies. Her mom is killed, her grandparents are killed, basically the end of the Jasad kingdom as we know it. According to the letter, the quote is that the massacre happened before the messenger. So the story that the world believes is that a messenger came to the Blood Summit and announced that the daughter, Essia's mother, was killed. And that sent her grandparents into a rage, and they killed everyone. That's the story that everyone believes, right? Because people were killed with magic. So it obviously had to be the Jasad. According to this letter, the messenger hadn't even arrived to deliver the news that their daughter was dead. So why would they snap and kill everybody? That doesn't make sense. It continues and says, magic may have been the face of this war, but it is not the heart. And it was signed by Binyar Lazur. Who is Binyar Lazur? Why do we know the last name Lazur? You might not, because maybe I didn't tell you because I didn't think it was important. He is Marek's older brother. So the reason why Marek has such bad beef with Jasad, not only is he just like, he's been raised that way, but because all of his siblings are dead. All of his older siblings went to work in various ways for the Nizal army, and they didn't come back. Specifically, this brother who was there at the Blood Summit. So he believes that his family was killed by Jasad. Now his brother is essentially committing treason against Nizal to share this like journal entry, right? So that's crazy. So she decides, okay, fuck it, fine. I'm going to be a part of this. Even though I don't fully believe that the Urabi are doing this well, I'm at least going to be a part of the planning now so I can stop them from doing all of these really reckless things. They have a meeting. She is sort of getting to know the people around her. I loved this. Namza said something, and our girl says, I could spend an eternity plummeting through the depths of her audacity without reaching the bottom. Yeah, Sylvia's just done with everyone, and I really like that. Other problems with Sylvia, she has noticed that every time she uses her magic, because she's used it just a couple of times, she gets a different like vein. She at first thought like, oh, because the first one she got was like on her wrist, and she was like, oh, you know what, maybe that's from my bangle, my bracelet, right? Like maybe it was residue. But then she gets one like on the back of her leg and it's silver, and then she gets another one like on her abdomen and it's gold again. And so she's not ready to ask anyone what the fuck this is, but just know that she's worried. Okay. But anyway, she's still doing the popping back and forth as a vision to see Aaron. And he got really injured with that, like the whole like him riding on a dragon thing. What we kind of missed was that he got really severely injured. Like even though he killed the thing, it somehow managed to like rip open his whole abdomen. He almost died from blood loss because of course Aaron doesn't go to the infirmary. And so when Sylvia comes to visit him, he is fucked up. Like he is injured. He is pissed. She's trying to tell him like, listen, I didn't organize this. You know, I never wanted to hurt you or anyone else. And Aaron is like, you never wanted to hurt me? Then why did you lie to me? You know, he's really angry actually. And like, it kind of makes me uncomfortable. They actually fight physically. Like he beats her up. To be fair, she beats him up back. Like literally she's got a broken bottle and she's trying to cut him with it. But yeah, they do physically fight a lot. And she decides she just needs to get his attention. Like, he's not listening to a word she says. He just wants to blow off some steam. But she knows that this man has a curiosity like no other. So she just screams, "The messenger came before the massacre." I'd never encountered anyone whose mind worked like Aaron's. One cut with curiosity, and it would not heal. Any uncertainty would fester, spreading like a poison, consuming him. So he stops in his tracks. He's like, I gotta know what that means. You tell me a riddle, I gotta know. So she basically is like, listen, haven't you ever questioned? She lays out the whole story of the Blood Summit. And she's like, listen, it only took one lie for you to lose complete faith in me. How many lies is it gonna take your father to tell for you to finally lose faith in him? And to be fair, Aaron doesn't like his dad, but he just like hasn't overthrown him, is what Sylvia is arguing. She's like, you have the power to take this man down. Why are we still living under his shadow? What's it gonna take? Ask him about what happened in the Blood Summit. So instead of going to his father, he goes into the dungeons where they're keeping some of the Mufsid, some of the other rebels, right? Because his father has sentenced them to death. Aaron does not agree with this, but he's like, there's got to be a reason why he wants to kill these people instead of using their intelligence. You know, like they have as hostages, they have use, things like that. So he decides to go talk to them to see, maybe last resort, they'll give him some answers. And he ends up talking to this one guy who is like, I will answer your questions. Absolutely. But I need you to come into the cell. And Aaron at first is like, it's not worth it. But again, curiosity killed the king. He goes in and he knows that he has the power to drain magic. So he thinks like, worst case scenario, this guy, I can just zap the magic out of him. But what he doesn't know is this particular Mufsid is what is called a bone spinner. So we are slowly but surely getting more world building when it comes to magic. There are different names for different specialties. So there's like a portalist, a visionist, things like that. It hasn't really been explained that well, but it's one of those things you can just very easily go with the flow. But he's like, do you know what a bone spinner is? And then he just grabs Aaron and they are whipped into a memory. So this guy is, first of all, very powerful. So the magic isn't draining very quickly and Aaron just gets taken on a ride until the magic runs out. But a bone spinner is someone who can, when they touch the bones of a dead person, relive the memories of that person. And so he just kind of takes Aaron through this montage of memories of various people. He took him all the way back to someone who lived 400 years ago, back when everyone had magic. And then he even brings us to Sylvia's mom, and we see all of these different things that she saw, including something interesting, which is once Jasad was the only kingdom with magic, right? Everyone used to have it, and now only Jasad has it. They actually were using magic as an item to trade. Like other kingdoms would come to them and they would be like, okay, we're going to give you 5% of the magic that we mined, which again is super illegal and evil to mine other people's magic. I believe it involves you have to kill the person. So they are using these peasants and just harvesting their power and then using it, sending it to other countries, right? Which is very illegal and bad. And nobody knew about this. Aaron gets all of these details. He's like, thank you, sir. I hope you don't get executed tomorrow. Peace out. And so now he knows, like, one of the key things with the Blood Summit is like they used magic to kill people, so it must have been the Jasad. But now he knows all these other kingdoms, including his own, had access to magic. So anyone could have done it. And where I left you, I'm now on page 255. We do get another scene where Sylvia comes to visit Aaron again to be like, okay, what have you learned? Actually, this one, she was not in control. She didn't mean to come visit him. Sometimes it just happens, right? So she comes to visit him. She was looking at her body to look at the veins that keep growing on her. So of course she's naked. Luckily she has a blanket with her. But they have like a very charged conversation where it's like, listen, I helped you. I can see that you are trying to figure this out. Like, I know that you have doubts. I know that you are questioning things. Like, let's work together. Neither of us want this war. She doesn't directly say, let's work together, but she very much is like, we are not the enemies that we think each other to be. At one point, he's like, but may I ask, why are you naked? He's like, did I interrupt something? And she was like, no. She panicked. She's like, no. I was alone. And he was like, I can still interrupt things even if you're alone, you know? She's like, no, you've got the wrong idea. Why are you smiling? The corners of Aaron's mouth had curved upward. The humor in his smile, though invoked at my expense, spread through me like warm honey. I hadn't thought I would see it again. But yeah, that's kind of where we stand, is that they are both separately doing their own work to figure out what the hell happened. For Aaron, he's trying to maintain order within the kingdoms so that we don't all erupt into war. Sylvia is trying to maintain order within the Urabi so that they don't do something that will also trigger war. It's one of those things where I understand that the story has to be this way, but I always hate it when I love a group of people together and then they are separated for the plot. I get it. I just want them to all be together again. Okay, we're just dealing with a main character who has like feral cat energy and I really enjoy it. The only other update I have for you, I've only read a couple more pages, is Jeru wanted Marek to look for this special item. He has a hunch that it's in a certain Nizal noblewoman's house. So after that big battle, because Marek again is like hiding out with the Nizal army, he had to go fight some of those mythical beasts. So after that battle, the nobles opened their homes to the soldiers so that they could like bathe and, I don't know, relax. So Marek gets sent to this one particular home where he seduces the wife and daughter, the mother and daughter separately, because their last name is the name of the insignia that he's looking for. So that's what he's doing. I just don't love the whole, like, the fact that he sleeps with everyone he sees is just like a weird character trait. Anyway, let's figure out where's Sylvia going? Why is Sylvia pissed? The reason she was freaking out is because in order to get to Omal safely, best way was to use the river and go via crocodile, which apparently one of the magic people can control them, so it's okay. But yeah, she doesn't love that. Our next update, Sylvia finds out on their way to Omal, she finds out that the Omali heir, Felix, stupid Felix, everybody hates Felix, remember? He has been like raiding / attacking various small Omal towns. Lord knows why. He's an idiot. And the Urabi have found out that the next place he's going to hit is Maher, which is our girl's hometown, where her orphanage was, where everyone she remembers and loves is. So they're going on a detour. At first, the Urabi didn't want to, but Namza is kind of the voice of reason and the leader. Even though Sylvia is supposed to be queen, Namza's really the one calling the shots. Namza's like, actually, you know what? Yeah, we gotta go. So they go back to Maher. We get to see the orphanage. We get to check up on all the little kids. Rory turns out, remember how he knew who Essia was, Sylvia's real identity? Turns out he was the royal physician in Omal. So he like practically raised her father, and he gave her this journal of his, and she's reading it. It's kind of like mundane stuff, whatever, but on the very last page, it's not just like a journal entry to himself. This is like a plea for help, because at this point Sylvia has been born. She apparently has a shit ton of power. Like, her mother could feel it while she was pregnant and she was terrified. Sylvia's dad is kind of like, what are her grandparents gonna do to my baby, knowing that she has so much fucking power, right? So there's that. But also then he's like, and you need, whoever he's writing to, I forget exactly who he's talking to, but he's like, you need to kill the heir of Nizal, because whatever Aaron's dad did to him, like he created a monster basically. Whatever Aaron is going to ruin the world. And at this point, like at the time of him writing this, Aaron was 6 years old. And like her father is like bookworm, really gentle, kind soul. So Sylvia reading this is like, holy shit, like what is Aaron? Like, what does his magic do, or like his weird abilities to like drain magic? What is that? And what would cause my father to demand people try to kill this 6-year-old? So she reads that's weird, and then she ends up just like bonding and having a wonderful time with the owner of the orphanage and Rory, etc. It's heartwarming. But speaking of weird, remember how I said that the whole Sepha POV is like clearly just a weird setup for maybe a romance? So she's just spending time with the Sultana, Vida, who's apparently looking for this mythical realm, which keeps coming up. It's not exactly important yet, but apparently everyone is sort of looking for it or discussing whether or not it's real. But anyway, just know that there is a mysterious magical realm that people are trying to find. A very quick update. Okay, Marek, his whole thing with having to find that item for Jeru, it wasn't
a magical item, really. It actually was something that would help Jeru prove that one of their section leaders, like one of the upper ranking army officials, why are you slipping? Stay still, guys, calm down. To prove that he was accepting bribes and like giving the rich people cushy jobs. So Jeru was willing to like go behind Aaron's back in order to try to take out some of the corruption in the military, in order to like save some of the kids in the military. He found the thing very easily. And Jeru found Sefa. He's like, listen, rumors, I haven't confirmed it, but rumors are that she is with Vida in the Ivory Palace. So they're heading there now.
Hello, it's getting very juicy. Let's experience this together. So, like I said, the whole reason that Sylvia and the Urabi went to Maher is because that's her hometown. They heard that it was going to get attacked or raided or whatever, and they were going to stop that from happening. So, the day comes, the Omali police or army or whatever rolls up. They are prepared. They fight. But who else shows up? Because remember, don't remember because I didn't tell you. While Aaron and Sylvia had their last little flirty, fighty encounter, he said something along the lines of like, the second you leave the mountains where the Urabi are hiding, I'll find you. I already know. He was playing mind games. He's like, I already know where you are. You just need to come out and I'll find, whatever. So Sylvia's banking on that. And sure enough, to his credit, he finds her once she's left the mountains and she goes to Maher. He rolls up as well. So in the midst of the Urabi fighting the Omals, Aaron and Sylvia are talking. At first, they're just doing their whole little flirt fighting. And all of a sudden, Sylvia is like, oh, you talk some big talk, Aaron, but you may be immune to magic. The world around you is not. So Sylvia has been practicing her magic, unbeknownst to Aaron, unbeknownst to us. Apparently the world just kind of erupts around Aaron. He literally gets flung to a wall, and then there are like cushions from a bench near the apothecary that like spring up and tie his arms, She's like, well, I've got you here. Let's have a chat. She said the others have all these plans they think will save Jasad, save magic. They think our greatest strength lies in numbers, but the kind of queen that would allow her nephew to commit these atrocities and destabilize half their kingdom, what use will she be to us? Aaron is like, what is this girl going on about? When suddenly he understood. Oh, he like puts it all together. He's like, oh yeah, your dad. Yeah, you could. That's ballsy. But like that is an idea. And Essie is like, you see the plan? You see how it sucks? Aaron raised a brow. I gather you have a better idea? She bent towards him, close enough for Aaron to count the flecks of brown still visible in her magic-drenched gaze. I think the only way we win is if we win you, Your Highness. Win me, he repeated slowly, tasting each absurd word. And how exactly do you propose that? She says, I am sorry about this. She struck him, her fist slamming into his jaw with impressive force. The first blow knocked the wind from him. The second brought an unpleasant ringing in his ears. By the fifth, the entire side of Aaron's face had either split or swollen, and he coughed a spatter of bright red onto the ground. God, she swore. How are you still conscious? And as she's like looking at him like, is he losing consciousness? Is he losing consciousness? He notices that her shirt has dipped a little bit, and he sees one of the golden veins. And he's like, what is that? He rasped, harsh with horror. Damn it, she groaned. This time, her fist slammed Aaron's head into a metal bucket sitting at the edge of the shelf. Agony, and then silence. You see what I mean? Where they are really violent to each other? I don't really love that. I don't really love that at all. Like, at least it's equal, but I just don't really love that. Anyway, but yeah, they're just kind of at a standstill. They somehow kind of want the same thing, like at a very basic level. They want peace, but they just can't get there right now with the way that they both view the world. So while she was practicing her magic, she found out that she can summon mythical creatures, but like specifically this thing called a a Kitmer. She's gotten better. That when she was first summoning them, they would come out like really tiny, like little dogs, and everybody laughed at her. But now she can summon like full-sized Kitmer. So she summons one, asks it to put Aaron on its back and fly away. So she's essentially taken Aaron hostage because she's like, this is our best bargaining chip. I got him right where I want him. And as they fly away, all the Nizal soldiers that came with Aaron are looking up like, oh shit. They clearly see their leader, the person they're supposed to serve but also protect, being taken away by the enemy. So let the chase begin. They're flying away. They're flying over the woods, and he kind of eventually wakes up and she's like, oh, hey, isn't this exciting for you? Like, remember, he's obsessed with maps. She's trying to like lighten the mood. She's like, even though I'm taking you hostage, look, you get to look at the world like you do your maps from way up here, like a bird's eye view. Isn't this lovely? And Aaron's like, what? Where are we? And then he looks down and he's like, oh my God. The look on his face was pure, unadulterated alarm. That's when the Kitmer starts to like fly funny. What is it? She shouted at the Kitmer. What's happening? It was Aaron who spoke. The Mariah is drawing in the Kitmer's magic. We plummeted. So I don't know if I'm pronouncing that correctly. I'm sorry if it's Mariah. It's probably Mariah. Anyway, that is the name of the magical realm that some people don't believe exists. Some people are trying to find. Aaron is pretty convinced that it's hidden somewhere in the woods. So apparently it is, because they're flying over this area and this magical realm is just sucking anything that has magic into it. Her little dragon thing that she made, it's falling out of the sky. The middle of the book, like right when you hit 50% is when shit always hits the fan. So this happens over the course of maybe 30 pages, okay? A lot has happened. They fall into this magical realm and Sylvia wakes up in a sandy place. She's very confused. She starts screaming for Aaron, obviously, because they just fell from a very great height, when someone says, your companion left. Without turning around, I slipped my fingers into my waistband and withdrew my dagger. This little sing-songy voice is like, oh, now, if you kill me, who's going to help you escape? And it turns out she immediately recognizes who this is, and it is a Dulhoth? It's one of the magical creatures that they let loose when the Urabi had that horrible idea of setting all of those creatures loose. Yeah. They didn't catch them all. Some of them got away. And one of them is this like soul-eating demon thing that's talking to her right now. So she's like, okay, I'm gonna have to figure out how to deal with this, but you said that my companion left? Where the fuck is he? The Dulhoth shrugged, gesturing farther down the shoreline. He dropped into the water somewhere down there, spent some time pacing around, bellowing a name and searching the water. I wasn't sure for what until I saw you roll onto the sand. Essia, I presume? He seems quite badly hurt, poor thing. But anyway, let's talk about you. They have this weird back and forth talking about how the magic doesn't work here, or she can't access it. It is subdued. So she is without any magical powers. And he's like, that's fine though. You're not really gonna last that much longer because I'm going to eat you. He like summons a bunch of these like soldier demons and they just are gonna try and eat her. Literally what it says, they're gonna eat her. She starts to fight them, but there's way too many of them when a streak of silver zaps into the middle of the fray. And it is Aaron and he is crushing it, okay? He seems incredibly hurt, doesn't look like it. He's kicking ass. At one point, Sylvia scrambles to her feet, but Aaron had already hurled the soldier like a javelin, knocking him into 3 other attackers. So Aaron can lift a grown man and throw him like that. She says that watching him fight, he was a lightning strike, not a storm. Precise, fatal, and terrifying to behold. His body flowed with a grace and focus I would never master, not in any number of lifetimes. It was awe-inspiring, infuriating, unbelievably attractive. But no reason to allow Aaron to have all the fun. I hurled myself into the fray, leaping onto the back of a soldier. So then they both start fighting. And this is what I'm okay with. I don't like them fighting each other, but when they team up, that's magic, okay? Aaron realizes finally he's not fighting by himself. Aaron is like, thanks for joining us. Did you enjoy the show? I caught the blade Aaron tossed to me and grinned immensely. When I touched down, call the amateur. Between the two of us, we finished off the remaining soldiers in record time. And when they were done, he's just like, okay, and then walks away because he's still pissed at her. So she's like, very mature. It's too late to pretend, Aaron, I called in a sing-song. The demon said you were looking for me. So now he's like walking away like, I don't give a shit. I don't care about you, you know? But she's like, a little birdie told me that you were pretty desperately searching for me and worried that I drowned. So let's be real. But he's still ignoring her. So she's like, why do you keep saving me if you hate me? What's the deal? Aaron stalked towards me with a single-minded intent of a wolf cornering its kill. You tie me to a wall and beat me bloody. You abduct me. Your Kitmers dropped me into a cursed realm I have managed to avoid my entire life. And then you allow a Dulhoth that you released to nearly eat you. I wish I had a good reason for saving you. I wish it was logical or rational, informed by any semblance of reason. I wish more than anything my first thought when I emerged from the water was not of you, that I hadn't been prepared to tear through every grain of sand and burn every tree in this damned place until I found you. They fight a little bit more when finally he's like, Essia, look at me. And then he like unbuttons his shirt, which I'm like, where are we going? Where are we going with this? Aaron undid the top button of his shirt, revealing a triangle of smooth skin. As I watched, he wrapped his hand around something beneath his collar. I waited, mystified. A tiny violet and black fig necklace laid against the pale skin below his throat. The necklace I'd bought off the Omalian merchant during the second trial. The necklace I had gifted Aaron the night of the victor's ball. He'd kept it. Aaron of Nazal, who did not tolerate a loose stitch or crooked collar, who inspected every grain of dust that dared settle over him, had been wearing a cheap piece of Omalian jewelry under his punishing layers of clothes. No eloquent words or theories or complex pieces of strategy could explain it. I never stood a chance. She grabs him because, baby, magic doesn't work in this realm, so they can freely touch, because whenever they touch, they like burn each other with their magic draining thing. She like hauls him real close to her and just stares. Tell me what you want, Aaron whispered. I flushed, my grip on his vest tightening. I want to pull your arrogant head off your smug shoulder. And he kissed me. Yeah, so they finally have their damn moment, thank you, 54% of the way through. But they're eventually like, yeah, we're also in the middle of a scary magic realm filled with demons and things that want to eat us. So let's go to safety. And then they finally talk about the veins. Apparently, that is a sign of magic madness. He explains to her everything that he learned about magic madness. He's like, listen, it happens every century. It's always a Jasadi. It's been a century since we've had magic madness. You're up, girly. And then she asks him, and this is where I know that this book is gonna hurt. She is like, if I go mad, the only person who can stop me is the person with the power to drain magic. You. She's like, if I go mad, I need you to kill me. To which Aaron is like, yeah, absolutely the fuck not. He's like, there will never be a world in which I would kill you. He's like, if the magic takes you, I'm gonna take you back. Like, the magic isn't gonna get you. Okay, you're mine. So that's a bridge I fear we are going to have to cross. The drama never ends. So our girl, for some reason, the mythical magical realm, while they are sleeping, as if it's a fog, moves past them. So they wake up in the woods back to normal, which means our girl has her magic back, so they're not touching anymore. She wakes up before him and leaves. She goes back to the Urabi. When we catch up with Aaron the next time, he is back safely in the Citadel, surrounded by his guards, and he is starting to get dressed when he realizes that the clothes he had on in the woods, there's something in his pocket that isn't normally there. And when he pulls it out, there are those few pages where we found the letters from Marek's older brother, the guy who wrote down the attack at the Blood Summit happened before the messenger came. That guy. So she's basically given him all the information she has. She's like, here's what I'm working with. This is what I think is the truth based on all this evidence. You've got a choice. And this makes him think about his mother. Like, he's going over everything he knows about his entire life. And he especially thinks about his mother because, remember, his mother died in the Blood Summit. So he thinks about it. His mother was a lower village girl plucked from obscurity to marry the Nizal commander. He thought about the son who was born too soon after the wedding. And I think this was in the previous book, but there was a moment where Essia had this weird vision, the Nizal royal family, Aaron's mom and dad, holding a baby with black hair. And that's weird because Aaron's an only child. She once asked him, like, is your hair black before the curse? Because he got cursed when he was 2 years old. That's how he has the magic sensing thing, remember? And this is when he realizes, he puts this together. He's like, why would Hanem, who was like the head general who was dishonorably discharged, the head Jasadi general, why would she turn and work for my dad? And why were they organizing this blood summit? And why were they so sure that it would work? And why didn't they care that my mom died? Like, they put my mom at risk if they were organizing this, you know? And he does the math and he's like, if they knew they were going to kill the Malik and the Malika, they knew there would be an empty throne. Who was going to fill that throne? What was between Hanem and Aaron's father would have to have been more than mere alliance, more than promises. The strongest claim to a crown was blood. Because Aaron, yes, his dad is his dad, but his mom, it's not the woman he thought she was. His mother is Hanem. I'm not quite sure how he got there, but yeah, he is the son of the Supreme of Nizal and the head general, fancier word, of Jasad. So yeah, if anyone's confused, this is what the plan was, right? His dad allied with Hanem, and she thought that he would put her on the throne. Again, kind of lost me there in terms of like hierarchy and how, you know, the levels of royalty work. But apparently he technically is the Jasad heir as well. He has some kind of claim to the throne. Oh my God. Hi, I'm on page 407, 63% of the way through. And shit has been hitting the fan for a while now. And I'm just wondering, when is it gonna stop? Because we've still got like 250 pages left. Is there just gonna be one really long happy ending? I don't know. So shit that is hitting the fan. Number one is with Seifa. Remember how I was like, ooh, just there for the romance plot. I'm still holding out. I'm still holding out for the romance plot. Vida randomly is like, so I've been waiting for you to betray me, but you haven't. And what's up with that, Seifa? So she knew all along. She's like, I recognized you the second you walked in my room. Like, do you think I'm dumb? So she was just kind of keeping her close, like keep your enemies close, you know? And she was like, I've been waiting for you to kill me. I've been waiting for you to betray me. Girl. And so Seifa just hits her in the head with a chair. And Seifa's whole thing, and this was a thing from book 1 that honestly I have like forgotten, or I guess I just didn't really pay attention, but she really wants Vida's ring because her ring contains a bit of magic to it. And for some reason, Seifa really wants it. She's willing to die trying to get it. And if she touches it, it burns her. So she like took part of Vida's handkerchief and like tried to pick it up. It still burns her, but the ring is not coming off of Vida's finger. She's like yanking it. It's not coming off. All she wants to do is like fucking throw it out the window so that then she can bury it so that Vida doesn't have it anymore. And because she is paying so much attention to trying to get the ring off of Vida's finger, she didn't see the shoe until the heel struck her across the face. Vida tackles her to the ground. Finally, Vida hissed, I've been waiting for you to come out and play. Okay. All right. Apparently, Seifa choked her so much, like cut off her blood supply enough that she passed out. Wait. Oh. And Seifa cuts off Vida's finger. She's like, if the ring isn't coming off, unfortunately, I'm just gonna have to take the whole damn finger. So she picks up the finger, and that's that. But you wanna hear about more shit that's hitting the fan? I haven't even gotten to this yet. Prior to this, Sylvia decides to go to Omal to talk to the queen. Remember, she could potentially claim that throne because of her father. She somehow manages really easily to get into the palace. She's like, there are like no guards here. This is way too easy. She eventually does run into some guards. She kills them pretty easily. And she notices that there's a really big portrait hanging in the queen's quarters, which is very, like, it's fictional. Like, there's no way that this was based off of people coming to sit for this portrait because her father is there. It's very clearly like a fuck you Felix portrait. Like the nephew, the heir of Omal that everybody hates, he's not in the photo, okay? So she's looking at this, she's like, damn, okay, I think I've got a really good chance of getting my grandma to accept me as heir. She clearly, like everyone else, hates Felix. So she turns and she sees the queen is sitting in her throne and she's like, hello, grandma, I'm here to petition for my seat back. I would like to be heir to the throne. She doesn't answer. Grandma just keeps staring at her. And then we start to hear the dripping of blood. Because grandma is dead on the throne. She is freshly, like, throat slit or something like that. Dead. Felix comes out of nowhere and is like, hello, cousin. Ugh. All of the guards appear. All of these guards where she's like, wow, there's no guards. They come out of hiding. She fights her way through. She uses her magic. She summons a bunch of crazy shit. It's a pretty epic fight scene. It ends with Felix headless. Felix is dead. Felix has his head ripped off. This is like a very gruesome book. Like the details are very, like, I think a little bit more gruesome than a lot of books that tend to be categorized as like romantasy. I feel like they don't tend to be this gory. When Felix came out of hiding to be like, look, I set up a plan, like he staged it so that he can just tell people that she killed the queen because there are no witnesses and she snuck into the palace, right? So she says, well, even the dullest of minds could be sharpened against a powerful grudge. She's like, Felix is dumb as shit, but if he's motivated. But yeah, he is headless now. Sylvia says, that's one thing that Felix hadn't understood. When the dust settled, I would always be the one left standing. But survival wasn't the story of my success. It was my eternal punishment. The more that this girl talks, the more that I think she wants to die. All right, here we go. Let's take a breather at 63%. One of my pet peeves, and this has happened in more than one of my favorite books, so I just black it out, okay? A pet peeve of mine is an ending in which an immortal or an incredibly powerful being sacrifices itself, usually like the main character, and is either dead or unreachable in another realm for a very long time. We have a time jump, and then they have like served their time or whatever and come back to life. This has happened in one of my all-time, I'm not going to name it because I don't want to spoil it, one of my all-time favorite fantasy series. It happened in a recent book that I just read, which was a very wonderful standalone. I struggle with immortality in general. I'm not saying any of these people are immortal, but like the idea of rebirth or like having to serve time or something, I don't like it. So if somebody dies, I want them to either be dead or have a relatively swift revival. I don't want you to bring them back to life 100 years later. Okay, you can kill them long enough for my heart to hurt, but if you're gonna bring them back in a timely manner is all I'm asking. I fear for this because when I was scrolling through the table of contents, there's a really damn long epilogue. All right, so I just want to voice that beforehand. Yeah, so Seifa runs off with the ring. She is running through the palace with her ring when someone yells, Seifa. The world froze. She knows that voice. Its owner was etched in the tapestry of her soul. And sure enough, there is Marek. But when he looks at her, his gaze flies past her. Run, he bellowed. Seifa, run! Arms like barrels wound around Seifa. Dozens of armed guards were behind her. Take her to Traitor's Well. So as we remember from the first book, Vida's punishment of choice is just putting people in empty wells and they just starve to death. Sir, I'm gonna read and then come back to you because I've got a lot of page to cover. I wasn't gonna say anything. I was gonna hold off and give you like a summary, but this got so deliciously messy. So first of all, Seifa gets thrown in a well. Marek runs to try and get her out. Before he can even reach it, Jeru intercepts him. They're trying to have an argument because Merrick is definitely going to get killed by trying to do this, when Aaron and fucking Vaughn, the guard that we hate, show up. And Aaron is like, wow, Vaughn, you were right. Jeru is working with the enemy. Like, when Jeru found Merrick, he was supposed to turn him in immediately, right? But he's been having Merrick do all of these little things. He wanted to expose that one corrupt soldier, you know? Anyway, so there's a brief moment where Aaron seems like he is going to punish Jeru and Merrick. But then he just changes his mind, because flying overhead are a bunch of these kitmers, these like dragon things, and out of their beaks is Sylvia's voice being like,
Greetings, everybody. It's the Jasad Heir. Just letting you know, like, we're about to come calling. And we're going to be asking for some alliances. So get your shit together. The Jasadi are on the move.
okay. So then Aaron is immediately like, okay, Merrick and Jeru, you go to the wells, get Seifa out, which everyone around him is like, sir, that's gonna trigger a war. Like, Yukub and Vida will absolutely then declare war on you. And he's like, look around, girls. It's already a war. And then he turns to his guards and he's like, go take the Ivory Palace, aka Vida's palace. So war has started. But here's the really juicy part that's just so funny. So it was mentioned in such passing in, I think, the very first chapter. But the one kingdom called Orban that we don't really hear that much about, the heir's name is Sorn. He's this dude, and his champion was kind of a pill. She was the last one to survive. She died in the very last round of the trials. And yeah, she was just kind of a pill. But like, we get it. I get her, okay? But in the beginning of this book, apparently Sorn is fucked up by her death, but she's not really dead. She's just in this weird magical coma and nobody can wake her up. And that's his obsession. He has now completely withdrawn to his palace. He's just drunk as a skunk all day, trying to find a way to wake up. Her name is Daya. Out of all of the kingdoms, Orban is kind of the most, not neutral, but just like doesn't seem to give a shit. Like, again, their heir is only concerned with waking this girl up. So Sylvia is like, great, we're gonna start there. The Jasadi roll up, and the Orban army is about to defend the palace when Sylvia just shouts, Sorn! I boomed. Have your manners abandoned you? Come say hello, you drunken weasel. I've come to wake your champion. So he immediately recognizes her as the Malika. He's like, girl, you've got my vote. Come help my girlfriend, my champion, my Daya, okay? She's in a magical coma. It's gonna need magic to wake her up. So who's coming to the plate? Sylvia's magic doesn't seem to work. They try a couple other things when Maya steps up, because we know that she has the ability to like knock people out, but what it really does is her magic allows her to enter a mind and expose its deepest, most closely held fears and secrets. I can alter its reality and convince the mind that it has died. The body usually follows soon after. So she has been used, even though she's like the friendliest, most bubbly girl, she is the executioner, which we didn't know until just now. However, she's like, I think I can do it backwards. Like, I think I could wake her up. If I convince her mind that she's alive, I think I can get her. So here we go. Sorn is like, if you hurt her, and she's like, put your trust in me, man. Here we go. Here's where it gets good. We're looking into Daya's mind. She's alone in a cemetery, Maya murmured, carving a name into a wooden headstone. L-U-B Lubna, Sorn said, hoarse. Her little sister. You really are in her head. Maya suddenly winces. She's like, ow, okay, now she's murdering her parents quite enthusiastically. Sorn grinned. That's my girl. So apparently her parents like sold her little sister to nefarious characters. So she killed them. Her sister died, and then she killed her parents for doing that. And she is going to be hanged for being a murderer. But in the memory, who approaches the platform but Sorn? Sorn gives us some more information. Apparently, when she killed her parents, she also killed quite a few of the like gangsters, guards that her sister was sold to, okay? She got everybody. The audience for her execution was substantial, so my father ordered me to see the task done right. But I hadn't expected a woman the size of a thimble to have felled some of my best men. Something about her, the wrath in her eyes, I respected it. And that is when Sorn cancels her execution. She felt an intense animosity for the heir on the platform. She plotted to kill him as soon as they left. Sorn continued to grin like a lunatic. So Aaron isn't the only one who's into women who want him dead, okay? But according to Daya's memories, he was charming. He makes her feel capable, strong. He gives her a place at the palace, but his attentions are always friendly, like a proud owner of a prized warhorse. Sometimes she wonders why his attraction encompasses so many women, but not her. Sorn flinched as if struck. What? Maya continues. Daya knows that she's low-born and the hardships of her life eroded any beauty she might have possessed, but she determines that her feelings for the heir are best kept private, where they will not embarrass or burden him. Why didn't she say? Sorn spluttered. And now it's Sylvia's POV. I sat down and propped my chin on my fist, wildly entertained. This is juicy. Like, we are getting a love confession via, like, from a coma patient. And all Sylvia has to do is just watch. She's just sitting there like, oh my God, Maya, don't stop now. Keep going. And then all of a sudden, the gold and silver drained from Maya's eyes and she collapsed. Sorn is like, did it work? This, like, what am I paying you for? Everybody else is like, listen, that was incredibly difficult magic to do. Like, she is going to be weak for weeks, if not months. Like, you should be a little bit grateful. And Sorn is like, grateful? I'd be grateful if one of you bumbling magic-addled buffoons wakes my champion. Would you all shut up? Daya snarled. My head hurts. The sight of 5 heads snapping to look at the bed was almost comical. Sorn's anger dissolved and joy crept over his face like a rising sun. Yeah, she's fine. Oh, we love it when the cranky girl is back. All right, so what has Sorn offered in exchange for waking up his beloved? He offered free passage, free, safe, protected passage for any Jasadi cutting through Orban, and also he's opening the trade routes. So there's that. And then all of a sudden Sorn, like, not reading the room, is like, Daya, why didn't you tell me how you felt? The Orban champion squinted at Sorn. Felt about what? My lord, have you taken ill? I groaned. Perhaps she and Sorn were well suited after all. They're like, all right, well, we've both got what we wanted, so we're gonna go. They head out. Hopefully Daya and Sorn can get their shit together someday. Also, just a slight detail, the POVs that have like their names on them, until this point, it had been Sylvia. But as of the previous chapter where she announced that like, hey, Jasadi, we're going, now it is Essia. She's officially back, baby. And we are only at 67%. I only read, that all happened in 30 pages. Guys, this is what I'm saying. Like, what is going to happen in this book? This book is so long. Anyway, I love it though. Guys, oh, it's only been 12 pages, guys. What the fuck? So, Jasadi are heading home. They're flying on their little flying things. They look down and they're like, huh, people. It's Marek and Seifa. They pick them up. All is well and good. Everyone's happy. Everyone is safe. They get back to their little fortress. We're doing great. Aaron is sitting in his room. His guards knock on his door. Vaughn goes stock still, the blood drained out of his face. Jero followed his gaze and promptly blanched. Is that... Jero choked off, his fist flying to the hollow under his throat. He might as well vomit all over the carpet. It wasn't as though Aaron cared anymore. Why are they freaking out? Because there's something on the table. Wes's head stared at them from the center of the map table. Clouded gray eyes gazed into the distance, fixed on a point none of them could follow. So we haven't heard from Wes in a while because Aaron asked him to just kind of keep tabs on Daddy. Dad was going somewhere and he was like, Wes, you know, this is kind of outside of your purview. So if you don't want to do it, you don't have to. But as a personal request, could you follow my dad? And Wes is like, absolutely. I would follow you to the end of the earth. I'll do whatever you say. I guess Daddy didn't like that. And the reason that he asked Wes to follow his dad is because he was pretty sure that his dad had like stores of magic hidden somewhere. Because remember, he's learned that through magic mining, other kingdoms have like stores of magic. He asked his dad about it, which he assumed would prompt his dad to go to wherever the hiding place is to like check. And so he asked Wes to follow him. And Wes is dead. Hold on. Love a callback. Love when an author does a callback. The very first scene where our girl gets attacked by a guard of the first book, okay? The reason that they could find out who attacked the guard, remember Sylvia fought back, is because he grabbed a shit ton of her hair and like held on to it while he died. And that is part of Nizal soldier training. If you feel like you're about to be killed, get as much evidence of who your killer is as possible, right? Like scratch them, get some DNA, get some whatever, you know? Earlier in the story, just a couple pages ago, Aaron noticed that Vaughn's pin was missing. He always wears it. Aaron thinks it's fucking stupid because a pin, if you push it hard enough, it's gonna poke you. He's a soldier, right? Like, why are you wearing unnecessary pointy things? Aaron says, "You've been guardsman for so long, you've forgotten how to be a soldier. You forgot the rule we teach the recruits their very first week." Aaron extended his palm. Sitting in its center, a raven's head had been embossed onto a pin with the letter V. Jeru had an identical pin tucked under the lapel of his uniform with the first letter of his name. When defeat becomes a possibility, what are our soldiers trained to do? It was Jeru who answered, grief slowly mottling into rage. We collect evidence of their killer. I found this under Wes's tongue. Aaron flipped the pin between two fingers. It was a wasted effort, Vaughn. He'd already sent the letter. All you did was cost me the only loyal guardsman I had left. Oh! They fight, and Vaughn loses. Now he's going to go talk to Dad. He's like, Jeru, tell my dad to meet me in the study. What else could possibly be we officially have exactly 200 pages left. Okay. All right. So, Aaron fights Daddy-O. He just lays out the whole story, everything that we have learned about the dad and the mom, blah, 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 okay? He confronts him, and his dad's name is Rawayne. I feel like I haven't said that a lot, but his dad's name is Rawayne. So Rawayne is like, I really wish you didn't figure that out. Like, really wish I could have stopped you from becoming a traitor like your mother. And he just starts beating him up, trying to hit him with his fucking scepter. He's like an evil king villain that always carries his like scepter around with him. And I thought, ooh, that's just a weird detail. It's just a weird detail. Wrong. So when Vaughn admitted to killing Wes, Aaron said something about, you were too late. Like, your efforts were in vain. Wes sent me a message before you got to him, okay? And remember, what was Wes doing? He was following Rawayne to see where he was hiding his stores of magic, because you have to hide it in something. So Aaron and Wes thought it was in like a mine far away. Aaron finally stops the fight. He was like, Dad, I was letting you win. I could have stopped you anytime. I just wanted to tire you out. So he stops his father, and Jeru runs in. Rawayne is like, oh, great, a guard. Arrest my son. And Jeru is like, like, no. Because what was Wes's message? 4 words. Had to count. 4 words. No minds. The scepter. So let me read with you. He found you out, didn't he? Aaron murmured. He saw you use magic from the scepter. And a question that Aaron always had was that with magic mining, right? You take away that person's magic. Where does it go? But for Aaron, he doesn't have magic, but he can take it away. But he's always wondered, where does that go? He's like, I drained, for example, like the dragon that he slayed. He drained that being of magic, but like he can't use it. He doesn't have it. Where did the magic go? Does it just disappear? No, he is a conduit. So every bit of magic that he drains gets sent to the scepter. And that's how his dad can use magic. Right? Okay. They are trying to pull the scepter out of his dad's hand, and they're like, what the fuck? Like, he's not that strong. Why can't we take this out of his hand? So they're like, pull up his sleeve. And sure enough, he has like handcuffed himself to his scepter, but there's no latch. Like, this was welded onto his body, okay? Jeru is like, there's nothing there. He's distressed. It can't be removed. Of course it can, Aaron said. Hand me your sword. He cuts off his dad's hand. And he's got a checklist. He's been going, you know, he's got a plan. This is a man with a plan. This is Mr. Every Detail Accounted For. And he's been counting down. And now he apparently only has one task left. What is it? We'll find out. Just endless chaos. It's just endless chaos, guys. All right. Aaron goes to the Urabi hideout. He knows how to get there, apparently. He goes with Jeru. They get thrown in the dungeons. Nothing Essia can really do about that, okay? As they are putting them in the dungeon, she notices that Aaron is holding a portrait of someone familiar. And he's just got like, right before he puts on his usual, like, I've got it together face, she catches this glimpse of just like, he is so tired and he is so sad. So she's like, all right, can I have a moment alone with our prisoner, please? Why are you holding a picture of Hanem? And he gives her the whole story. He's like, yeah, I'm the heir, blah, 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 blah. Essia kind of laughs. She's like, wow, God, this is great. You know, it's going to be so poetic. We're really going to close that circle. I'm going to die raising the fortress that Hanem brought down, because Hanem was behind the huge part of the Blood Summit, right? Of destroying the fortress. So in a weird way, like, I killed her, but she is kind of gonna kill me, right? That's nice. Yeah, that just sounds poetic. Aaron is like, raising the fortress? Don't worry. She climbed to her feet. It's a good plan. You'll like the symmetry of it. I'll die, but so will my magic. We won't have to worry about that anymore. She laughed, and her fingers braced on the wall as she wandered out of the cell. Aaron stared after her, unmoving, unmoored. And when 7 sneering men sauntered into his cell sometime later, Aaron did not put up a fight. So he just found out, after he's tried so hard to hold the whole world together, that the final move on the board is the love of his life is going to kill herself to restore balance. And he's just like literally sitting there dazed. So poor Aaron. Here I am, all sad. The next chapter starts with the sight of Rawin's scepter tossed on a cushion in the middle of the floor. Rawin's severed hand still attached had done wonders to improve my mood. Essia is insane. She's like, I huffed, darkly amused. I am out of breath. So we get a chapter in which Essia begs for his life, basically. She's like, listen, I think he'll work with us. Let's let him free. And everyone's like, okay, but if he turns on us, like, we're going to execute him. And she's like, absolutely, I will kill him myself. If he's lying to me, I will kill him myself. So we get that scene. And then remember how the previous chapter ended with how men came into Aaron's cell and he didn't fight back? After the meeting, Essia goes back down to the dungeons to talk to Aaron and be like, okay, like, they've decided we're gonna work with you, whatever. When one of the guards is like, oh, you're early. Aren't you hungry? Don't you want to you should eat first. You should get some dinner. And she's like, step aside. And finally, she just has to shove this guard out of the way, and she runs into the dungeons. She finds Jeru first, and he raised his head. Tears had carved clean tracks across his dust-covered cheeks. They didn't come into my cell. I think they wanted me to listen. They? I bolted down the rest of the empty cells and turned right. At the end of the corridor, I heard someone check for a pulse. I skidded to a stop in front of Aaron's cell, where 7 men crowded the tiny space, looming over the still figure on the ground. Blood spattered their shoes, their clothes. None of it theirs. Not a single man had a scratch on him. On the ground, Aaron lay, unmoving. Between one blink and the next, every vein in my body lit into an inferno. But the men only saw the magic swirling in my eyes before they found themselves hurled back into the wall, their bodies pinned by an invisible force against the gray stone. Aaron could have disassembled every man in this cell blindfolded with a hand tied behind his back. He didn't fight back, I whispered. The pinned men squirmed against the wall, helpless, pathetic. You attacked a hostage in his cell. 7 against 1. When you saw he wasn't fighting back, you thought, what? You'd have a nice story about cornering the Nizal heir to carry back to your wives. I recognize how difficult it must be for you to excite your women in bed, but this story doesn't end well for you. How long does it take for a tongue to melt? The man's screams filled the cell until they petered out. And so, yeah, she goes down the row with a different tactic for each man, by the way. She gets to the third man when a strong arm winds itself around my stomach. Aaron had drawn himself up from the ground and he yanked me away. Just keep saying, let them go. She finally does. They sprint out of the cell, shoving each other. One of them stopped to haul the unconscious first man over his shoulder. Ugh. At least the one with the ants lost a decent layer of skin, I said sullenly. Aaron coughed, but he might have been trying to laugh. She just starts crying. She's had enough. Aaron is like, obviously, is like, don't waste your tears on me. And she's like sputtering. She's like, they're yours anyway, idiot. All right, what do you want me to do? Okay, she says, why did you even come here? I was ready to die. I was ready to be honorable and brave and self-sacrificing for the first time in my miserable life. I had made my peace. I would restore Jasad, burst into flames, and enter history as a savior. Simple. Aaron just says, you're not going to die. And that is when he finally collapses. She's like, God damn it, that's what it takes to knock you out? You need to lose 4 times the blood of an average person? And then she screams for help. We now have, I'm on page basically 500. So we've got 140 pages until the epilogue, and then we've got 20 more pages of God knows what. So in I go. See you probably in like 2 more pages. Okay. So I don't know where I left you. Aaron is recovering from his wounds, and he's kind of thinking over what he just witnessed with her being like, I'm gonna make ants eat you, and like, I'm gonna burn your tongue. He's remembering when she said, if my magic overtakes my mind, you're the only one who will be able to stop me. And he's like, she was kind of crazy. Like, I like her crazy, but she was kind of crazy. Like, you know, Essia had killed before, more than once, but she'd never done so with absolute disregard for the weight of the action. If he hadn't interceded, she may very, very well have commanded the third man to eat his friend and watch in elation while it happened. So he's kind of like, is my girlfriend going crazy? So there's that. And then once he gets better, they decide to spend a few days trying to plan for what's going to happen when she decides now is time to prove his loyalty. So she kind of invites people to fight him. She's like, even injured, nobody can beat Aaron in a fight. He needs to blow off some steam. So like, why don't anybody try to fight him? And of course, everyone loses. So she decides she's going to fight him. And when he inevitably lets her win and he kneels at her feet, she, as if she's knighting him, puts the sword to his throat and asks, will you pledge your loyalty to the Jasad throne? Like, are you on our side? Are you our ally? And he says, no. Essia's heart like falls through her butt. She's like, what the fuck? Like, that wasn't the answer I was looking for. He continues, thrones may fall, magic fades. Aaron's level voice cut through the din. I will swear my loyalty, but not to Jasad's throne nor to its magic. A black-gloved hand pressed against the tip of the sword, lowering it to aim at his heart. I swear my loyalty to Jasad's Malika. Everything I have is hers to command. What she wills, I will create. What she hates, I will destroy. I'm the weapon of the Malika, and it is her alone I pledge myself to. Ooh. Everyone is like, barf, too much. And then finally, Aaron leaves. He slips away in the dead of the night. He leaves a note. Oh, they have like a cute moment where she like summons her little river demon that saved her that one time and just like gives Aaron a ride. He's like, look, magic is great. And he's like, I'm kind of scared, but yeah, this is kind of fun. So we had light moments as well. But then Aaron leaves in the dead of night. He leaves her a note that essentially says like, bring the water demon thing to Jasad and I'll meet you there. We're gonna wrap this up. He and Jeru go back to Nizal and they essentially, you know, he's planted the seeds. He has a lot of people on his side in the council. He stages a coup. He's like, let's have a vote. Who do you want to be your supreme? And surprise, surprise, he is given the throne of Nizal. Also, Vida's just been doing weird shit. Her storyline is just kind of strange. She apparently found a way into the magical realm, that Miria, and is bringing a bunch of ruby hounds, which we have seen before. Every kingdom has their different mythical creature, and Lukab has ruby hounds. But yeah, they're heading to Nizal to attack. So there's that. And now Essia has just made it to Jasad. She says her feet touched Jasad for the first time in 11 years. Some of the Jasadi were crying. Others dropped to the ground to vomit, probably from seasickness from riding a sea demon through the river to get back to Jasad. Oh, also, because he just showed up in this scene, I remembered during one of the meetings, there's this older council, like Jasadi council member named Latif. At one point, Essia and Aaron are talking. They're like talking about war plans. And they're very awkward with each other. Even though they like say the most intense things to each other, they're very awkward. And Latif is just suddenly like, guys, can I just say something? Life is short. And they're just like, come again? He's like, you just gotta say things, you know? You can't waste any time. He's like, well, I mean, you're obviously deeply in love with each other. So say it. Both of them turn bright red and they're just like, like, not now. We are dealing with too many things to say the L word. Latif, please leave us alone. So, yeah, I just thought that was funny. I really like Latif. He's not on the page that much, but when he is, he stirs up trouble in unexpected ways. Okay, turning off the camera. I'm at 87%. We've reached the part of the book where characters die. So we have Vida. She's just cuckoo bananas. I really don't understand her as a character. She tries to kill, she wants to take over Nizal. Aaron basically drains all the power out of her and he's talking to her. He's like, listen, I don't want to do this. Like, you could just be a normal person. Like, please just stop attacking us. She's kind of been driven mad. And at the very last second before she's about to die, she's like, you know what? Fuck it. Yeah, let me try to be normal. And so even though Aaron's pretty sure she's too far gone, like he drained too much of her magic, he like stops or takes her hand or something. The chapter ended very abruptly. We don't know what happened, but Vida might be dead. And then we get this whole scene of like, now Aaron, now that that's done, Aaron can now go to Jasad and try to stop Essia from killing herself through raising the fortress using too much magic, right? We get a whole scene of like Sefa and Mirek sobbing, being like, you cannot die. Like, this is so much bigger than you. Like, but also just as small as you are. Like, we just don't want to lose you. It was really just sad. So I knew what was coming. From that, I knew what was coming. Because the next day, they are under attack by various people, right? And Sylvia, Essia, hears a scream. If I hadn't been on the other side of the clearing, maybe I could have sprinted to her in time. If I'd seen it a fraction of a second sooner, I might have been able to stop it, but I did not see it a fraction of a second sooner. I saw it as Mirek slammed into Sefa, throwing her out of the spear's path. I saw it as the point of the spear cleaved into Mirek's chest, the force hurling him to the ground. When Sefa screamed, I clapped my hand over my own mouth. It was the kind of scream scraped from the very bottom of a soul, impossible to hear without experiencing a visceral urge to turn away. It turned your skin cold and clammy, forced your heart into your throat. Mirek is spasming, blood is drenching the front of his body, and Sefa just keeps screaming, no, 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 no. I could almost hear his heart slow. I felt the effort it took for him to twist his lips into a smile for Sefa. I thought maybe he might be trying to tell a joke or make some kind of comment about how the blood actually improved his shirt. Whatever he might have said, it would have been for Sefa. But Mirek choked, blood pouring from either side of his mouth. But when she rolled Mirek onto his back again, the once bright green eyes we had watched dance with humor, eyes that had stolen hearts and frequently broken them, eyes that would scour any room until they found Sefa, were fixed and staring, dull in a way Mirek could never be. I literally can't read the rest of that out loud. So Essia decides, fuck it, Mirek's dead. I'm not being any longer. I'm going to go raise that fortress, and I don't care if I die. So she goes off to the bridge where, legend has it, all of the gods are sleeping below, you know? She has to try the enchantment up to 11 times. Blood is coming out of her nose. She's using so much magic to try and raise this fortress when she suddenly slips into a different reality. And we get a couple pages of basically memories of the gods. And the magic madness isn't madness, it is the gods trying to come back, like the gods being reincarnated. So we just get to see like little tidbits of the Jasad god, whose name is Roviel. Roviel constantly being born as like, I was a little girl, but I only lived until I was 12 and then they killed me. And then I was this and this and that, you know. Then she wakes up and it's Aaron cradling her face. This is all like not stuff I can read out loud without crying. Like my throat is closing. So, okay, things that have happened. Aaron helped drain her magic so that she got control of it, but that meant that he passed out, but he's okay. He's alive. Sepha is losing her shit. She's not leaving his side. Marek's dead body. She's not moving until Jeru is finally like, get yourself together. He says, oh, I don't think I can read this out loud. I can't read this out loud. Jeru is like, he needs you to bury him. He needs you alive to remember him. And Sepha is like, I'm not strong enough for this. And Jeru says, nobody is. You do it anyway. Yes, the fortress wasn't fully completed. Aaron had stopped her before she completed it. So she does it. The fortress had risen to its full height. And standing on the other side of it, barely holding himself upright, was Aaron. He is like, okay, you're done. Like, you did it. You're done. Get off of that bridge. Come here. Stop using your magic. Essia is like, yeah, the magic madness, it's gonna take me. Like, Roviel's control is gonna take me. And she thinks the only responsible thing to do is to join all the other gods in their entombment and lock away her magic. And Essia doesn't really want to do this. She's like, in her own POV, she's like, gonna be honest, eternal entrapment was not on my list of things I was hoping, like list of ways I was hoping this story would end. If I had thought that, I honestly probably would have jumped off a waterfall much earlier in the story. Like, this does not seem fun. But I drank in the sight of Aaron one last time. I chose you, I thought, even if it might not seem like it now. I retreated into the mist, gripping the rope for balance. Warmth spread through me. I gripped the rope, leaning over the edge. They would survive this. My friends would be all right. I closed my eyes and tipped over the side of the bridge. I can't take this. The next chapter starts with, is this normal? Did we sleep this long? Stop slapping her, Dania. She'll wake up and set us on fire. So she wakes up surrounded by the gods. She is in Essam. She's in the woods. Also, her head is hurting because she just gained all of Roviel's memories. Literally several thousand years worth of memories are in her head, and she's like trying to deal with that. Apparently, Roviel is now dead. Roviel is not here anymore. It is just the magic that remains. That's weird. The other gods are like, oh, okay, you personally seem less intent on murder and destruction, unlike Roviel. So that's a relief. And luckily, our girl cuts to the chase real fast. She's like, so, okay, I don't seem like a threat. Does that mean I could leave? She's like, is there any way out of here? And she's like, I've seen you. Like, we've seen visions of these gods before, right? And they're like, well, yeah, we can leave sometimes because, you know, we're not a danger to our kingdoms anymore because our kingdoms don't have magic. So there's no way we could corrupt anybody. They said the only way we can rejoin their world is if our magic is equal to theirs and not greater. So she obviously has a shit ton of magic. There's never going to be a time when she's equal to her people in Jasad. So the gods are like, I mean, we could drain your magic. And she's like, absolutely not. But they're like, no. We can like control it a little, give it some parameters, you know, think of it as like, we're going to stop it from regenerating. Like, you can use your magic, but you eventually are going to run out, but you've got so much that like, you're not going to run out. How long would that take? She asks. I love a girl that's just like, let's get this done with. She says, I don't want to emerge when everyone I love is dead. The gods are like, well, we can certainly try. Let's see. You know, it's only a theory. Excellent, I said. I love a good theory. And I burst into tears. Okay, now we enter what seems like a kind of epilogue. I'm having a rough time. Okay, now we are in Lukab, 1 month after the entombment. So 1 month after Essia went Sultana Vida seems to have actually died, and in a surprise, shocking everyone, she names Sefa as her heir. Sefa has to be the sultana now, but Sefa is like, we actually, just so we're clear, we don't know if she's dead, all right? Nobody found her body. And the council is basically like, listen, we've looked. We have exhausted our resources. Somebody's got to take this throne, and it's supposed to be you. So that's weird. Sorn and Daya got married. That's good to see. And they, of course, are going to ally with Jasad. And of course, now Lukab is going to ally with Jasad. The new queen of Omal, whoever replaced Felix, seems really chill, seems really nice. She allies with Jasad, so everybody's allied. But the Supreme of Nizal, some guy named Aaron, yeah, he didn't show up to the meeting. The next chapter, Omal, 2 years after the entombment. Yeah, I can see where this is going and I don't like it, but that's okay. Firel, do we remember her from the very beginning? That cute little girl in the orphanage who Felix like threw in front of the horse and she got trampled, and that's why Sylvia used her magic and was like discovered by Aaron in the first place. All right. She works for Rory, the chemist. She has taken Sylvia's old job. Somehow she has magic. She changes her cane into a bow and arrow, which is weird. And that's the whole scene. All right, next chapter, Jasad, 6 years after the entombment. Yeah, I don't love how this ends, but apparently magic has returned to all the kingdoms, which is nice. We've traded peacefully for years. The borders are open. Everything seems really great, okay? And apparently everything's great except Aaron just goes through the motions. You know, he's a great leader, but he's just like empty. Sefa saw him one time for his birthday. He's okay, but like... all right. And finally, we have the epilogue, which is in Aaron's POV, and it is 10 years later. Aaron had never given much thought to what he might face if love ever found him. It was a word he vaguely understood, upon which people seemed to place great importance. He thought if love had found him, it would be more of the same, just another bruise, something fleeting, painful if pressed. Nobody warned him. Why hadn't they told him that love was not a soft and gentle wind, but a storm determined to rip you apart and build its home in the wreckage? That it brought with it uninvited guests, new fears and worries and paranoias beyond the reach of any reason. Death, he learned, did not change anything. It didn't destroy their home that he made in his heart. It simply barred Aaron from entering. Every year he goes and buys the entire booth, the entire candy store, all the sesame seed candies that she loves. He brings them to the bridge that she jumped off of for her birthday. And he fully believes, like, he doesn't consider Essia to be dead. Apparently one time Sefa is like, listen, you gotta get over this, man. Like, nobody ever comes back from that mist. Every year you come back from that bridge as broken as you were the first day. Aaron had not spoken to her for 8 months afterwards. So now he comes alone because he doesn't want to be with anyone who doesn't believe that Essia could come walking out of that mist one day. Because impossible things do happen. It should have been impossible for magic to return to the kingdoms. Should have been impossible for the Nizal heir to find the Jasad heir hiding in a tiny village in Omal. Should have been impossible for him to fall in love with a woman who maddened him at every turn. His coat hung so heavy with frost, he didn't notice when some of the warmth returned to his stiff limbs. He didn't register the rays of sunlight piercing the thinning mist. Golden pools gathering over the damp boards of the bridge. He watched the mist dissipate, and at the center of the bridge, the mist melted around 4 figures. One of them took an unsteady step towards him, curls catching on the rising wind. A slow grin spread over her face. Dark eyes fastened onto him as the sun cleared the last of the mist from the bridge, and Aaron finally allowed himself to fall. Welcome home, Sarira, my little demon. The end. Jesus. I'm gonna digest this and I'm gonna talk to you tomorrow morning. I'll see you in the morning. Sorry this video is gonna be so long. I did not expect so much to happen in this book. Okay, good morning, friends. It's been a few days. It's actually been almost a week. I edited the video, and because of that, I kind of went over the plots of everything again, and these are my final thoughts on the duology. Overall, solid. If you like political intrigue, if you like characters with banter and enemies to lovers that hate each other for most of it, overall, strong. a strong duology. I will say, however, especially in the second book, I guess I kind of mentioned it where I have a fear of when books expand the character list and the amount of POVs. I do feel like the book kind of suffered because of that, because like maybe I'm missing something, but what was Vida's whole deal? Like the whole Vida, Sefa, even Marek plotline just felt kind of strange. It never fully tied in. It almost felt like we were being set up for spin-offs, and I'm not really sure why. Like yeah, I don't get that. So I will say that kind of the downfall of this duology was just that there was a lot going on, but I didn't necessarily feel like it was tied together. Again, like maybe I missed it, but like what was up with Jeru's little side quest? What was up with Vida and Sefa's little side quest? Like what did the ring eventually do that Sefa was working on getting for a book and a half? Like yeah. And also like, I don't think we came full circle in terms of the whole issue with her grandparents being horrible. Like we just kind of never, like the only bow that sort of got tied up was Essia dealing with her magic madness and restoring Jasad. Like that was kind of the only thing that got tied up, but we didn't talk about like, gee, by the way, your grandparents killed your dad and imprisoned your mother. And like, we just never talked about how horrible they were as rulers. Like, why are we okay with still having like a monarchy system? There were a lot of questions I had, and I don't think having a third book would have necessarily helped. I think it could have still been done with a duology, but I wonder if we could have used other characters differently. Like the whole side quest for Sorn and Daya, even though I enjoyed that little moment, what was that? Like, what did that really add? So yeah, there were a lot of weaknesses to it. Did I enjoy my reading experience? 100%. But yeah, a little confusing read for me. I still recommend if that seems up your alley. I know that if you've gotten this far, you've like spoiled everything. But yeah, let me know your thoughts. I know that some people really loved it. I know that there was some controversy when this first came out about, you know, the enemies to lovers. How can you love somebody who is doing this to your people? I think that this book covers it quite well, that there is nuance, and that the Jasad also clearly were not good, at least the royal family, which she is a part of. So yeah, So let me know your thoughts. This video was way longer than I expected it to be, but I hope it was enjoyable. I hope that if you were trying to read the second book, I hope that I gave you a little taste so that you could dive right back into it. I'm gonna leave you here so that I can work on another video so that I can read other books. I'm reading a really good one right now, which I'm excited to talk about. I read A Big Disappointment, which is a book that I think is on everybody's, or like if you follow me, probably on your most anticipated reads. So that's a bummer. Excited to tell you what I read in September, let's just say. So I'm going to go, and I thank you as always for being here as long as you were, and catch you later. All right. That was the Jasad Heir duology, The Scorched Throne, The Scorched Kingdom. See you next time. Bye.